Unit 1, Diversity in the Living World. Biology is the science of life forms and living process. The living world comprises an emerging diversity of the living organism. Early man could easily perceive the difference between inanimate matter and living organism. Early man defined some of the inanimate matter, wind, sea, fire, etc., and some among the animals and plants. A common feature of all such form of inanimate and animate object was the sense of awe or fear that they evoked. The description of living organism, including human being, began much later in human history. Societies which indulge in anthropocentric view of biology could register limited process in biological knowledge. Systematic and monumental description of life forms brought in out of necessity detailed system of identification, nomenclature and classification. The biggest spin-off of such studies was the recognition of the sharing of similarities among living organisms both horizontally and vertically, that all present day living organisms are related to each other and also to all organisms that ever lived on this earth, was a revelation which humbled man and led to cultural movement for conservation of biodiversity. In the following chapter of this unit, you will get a description including classification of animals, plants from a taxonomic perspective. अब हम चलते हैं अर्नेस्ट मायर के साइंटिस्ट के जो बारे में जो बायोग्राफी है उसके रिलेटेड जानते हैं. ठीक है, उसके रीडिंग पढ़ रहा हूँ मैं अभी. देखो, born on 5 July 1904 in Kempten, Germany, Ernest Mayr, the Harvard University evolutionary biologist who has been called the Darwin of the 20th century, was one of the 100 greatest scientists of all time. Mayr joined Harvard's Faculty of Arts and Science in 1953 and retired in 1975, assuming the title of Alexander Agassiz Professor of Zoology Emeritus. Throughout his nearly 80-year career, his research spanned ornithology, taxonomy, zoo geography, evolution, systematic. Ornithology का मतलब study of birds, and the history and philosophy of biology. He almost single-handedly made the origin of species diversity the central question of evolutionary biology that it is today. He also pioneered the currently accepted definition of biological species. Mayr was awarded the three prizes widely regarded as the Triple Crown of Biology: the Belgian Prize in 1983, the International Prize for Biology in 1994, and the Crawford Prize in 1999. Mayr died at the age of 100 in the year 2004. Chapter on Living World. How wonderful is the living world! The wide range of living type is amazing. The extraordinary habitat in which we find living organisms, be it cold mountain, deciduous forest, ocean, freshwater lakes, desert, or hot springs, leave us speechless. The beauty of galloping horse, of the migrating birds, the valley of flower, or the attacking shark evokes away and a deep sense of wonder. The ecological conflict and cooperation among members of a population and among population of a community, or even the molecular traffic inside a cell, make us deeply reflect on what it indeed is life. The question has two implicit questions within it. The first is a technical one and seek answer to what living is as opposed to the non-living, and the second is a philosophical one and seek answer to what the purpose of life. As a scientist, we shall not attempt answering the second question. We will try to reflect on what is living. अभी जो ये चीज़ अभी मैं पढ़ने जा रहा हूँ पैराग्राफ, वो न्यू एनसीईआरटी के अंदर नहीं है बट ओल्ड एनसीईआरटी के अंदर था और अभी एनसीईआरटी के नीट के सिलेबस में है, इसलिए पढ़ना ज़रूरी है. तो आप देखते हैं व्हाट इज़ लिविंग. व्हेन वी ट्राई टू डिफाइन लिविंग, वी कन्वेंशनली Look for distinctive characteristic exhibited by living organism. Growth, reproduction, ability to sense environment and mount a suitable response come to our mind immediately as a unique feature of living organism. One can add a few more features like metabolism, ability to self-replicate, self-organize, interact and emergence to this list. Let us try to understand each of these. All living organisms grow. Increase in mass and increase in number of individuals are twin characteristics of growth. A multicellular organism grows by cell division. In plant, the growth by cell division occur continuously throughout their lifespan. In animals, this growth is seen only up to a certain age. However, cell division occur in certain tissue to replace lost cell. Unicellular organisms grow by cell division. One can easily observe this in vitro culture by simply counting the number of cells under the microscope. In majority of higher animal and plant, growth and reproduction are mutually exclusive event. ये लाइन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ए मेजॉरिटी ऑफ हायर एलिमेंट्स एंड प्लांट ग्रोथ एंड रिप्रोडक्शन आर म्यूचुअली एक्सक्लूसिव इवेंट. वन मस्ट रिमेंबर दैट इंक्रीज इन बॉडी मास इज कंसिडर एज ग्रोथ. नॉन लिविंग ऑब्जेक्ट ऑल्सो ग्रो इफ यू टेक इंक्रीज इन बॉडी मास एज ए सर्टेन क्रिटेरिया फॉर ग्रोथ. Mountain, boulder, sand mounds do grow. However, this kind of growth exhibited by non-living object is by accumulation of material on the surface. In living organism, growth is from inside. Growth therefore cannot be taken as a defining property of living organism. Condition under which it can be observed in all living organism have to be explained, and then we understand that it is a characteristic of living system. A dead organism does not grow. Reproduction likewise is a characteristic of living organism. Reproduction defining property नहीं है बल्कि एक characteristic property है. In multicellular organism, reproduction refer to the production of progeny possessing feature more or less similar to those of parrots. Invariably and implicitly, we refer to sexual reproduction. Organism reproduced by asexual mean also. Fungi multiply and spread easily due to the million of asexual spores they produce. In lower organisms like yeast and hydra, we observe budding. In planaria, flatum, we observe true regeneration. A fragmented organism regenerates the lost part of its body and become a new organism. The fungi, the filamentous algae, the protonema of mosses all easily multiply by fragmentation. When it comes to unicellular organism like bacteria, unicellular algae or amoeba, reproduction is synonymous with growth. अगर हम जो लोअर ऑर्गेनिज्म है जिस तरीके से बैक्टीरिया, यूनिसेलुलर, एमीबा, एक है ग्रोथ के सिमिलर है. मतलब ये लोग का प्रोजेनी बच्चा पैदा होना का मतलब है ग्रो हो रहा है. ये लोग increase in number of cell, we have already defined growth as equivalent to increase in cell number or mass. Hence we notice that a single cell organism, we are not very clear about the uses of these two terms, growth and reproduction. Further, there are many organisms which do not reproduce. Mules, sterile or be infertile human couples. Hence, reproduction also cannot be all inclusive defining characteristic of living organism. Of course, no non-living object is capable of reproducing or replicating by itself. Another characteristic of life is metabolism. All living organisms are made up of chemical. This chemical is small, big, belonging to various classes, size, function, etc. are constantly being made and changed into some other biomolecule. These conversion are chemical reaction or metabolic reaction. There are thousands of metabolic reactions occurring simultaneously inside all living organisms, be they unicellular or multicellular. All plant, animal, fungi and microbe exhibit metabolism. The sum total of all the chemical reactions occurring in our body is metabolism. No non-living object exhibit metabolism. Metabolic reaction can be demonstrated outside the body in a cell-free system. An isolated metabolic reaction outside the body of an organism performed in a test tube is neither living nor non-living. Hence, while metabolism is a defining feature of all living organisms, without exception, isolated metabolic reactions in vitro are not living things but surely living reaction. Hence, cellular organization of the body is the defining feature of life forms. Perhaps the most obvious and technically complicated feature of all living organisms is the ability to sense their surrounding or environment and response to this environmental stimuli, which could be physical, chemical, or biological. We sense our environment through our sense organs. Plants respond to external factors like light, water, temperature, other organisms, pollutant, etc. All organisms from the prokaryote to the most complex eukaryotes. The complex eukaryotes can sense and respond to environmental cues. Photoperiod affect the reproduction in seasonal breeder. Photoperiod affect the reproduction in seasonal breeder. Both plant and animal, all organisms handle chemical entering their bodies. All organisms therefore are aware of their surrounding. Human being is the only organism who is aware of himself, has self-consciousness. Consciousness therefore become the defining property of living organism. When it comes to human being, it is all the more difficult to define the living state. We observe patient laying in coma in hospital, virtually supported by machine which replace heart and lungs. The patient is otherwise brain dead. The patient has no self-consciousness. Are such patients who never come back to normal life, living or non-living? In higher classes, you will come to know that all living phenomena are due to underlying interaction. Properties of tissue are not present in the constituent cell but arise as a result of interaction among the constituent cells. Similarly, properties of cellular organelles are not present in the molecular constituents of the organelle but arise as a result of interaction among the molecular component comprising the organelle. This interaction results in emergent properties at a higher level of organization. This phenomena is true in the hierarchy of organizational complexity at all levels. Therefore, we can say that living organisms are self-replicating, evolving, self-regulating, interactive systems capable of responding to external stimuli. Biology is the story of life on earth. Biology is the story of evolution of living organism on earth. All living organisms, present, past and future, are linked to one another by the sharing of the common genetic material but to varying degree. Diversity in the living world. If you look around you, will you see a large variety of living organisms, weed, potted plant, insect, birds, your pets or other animals and plants. There are also several organisms that you cannot see with your naked eye but they are all around you. If you are to increase the area that you make observation in the range and variety of organisms that you see would increase. Obviously, if you were to visit a dense forest, you would probably see much greater number and kind of living organism in it. Each different kind of plant and animal or organism that you see represent a species. The number of species that are known and described range between 1.7 to 1.8 million. These refer to biodiversity or the number and types of organisms present on earth. We should remember here that as we explore new areas and even old ones, new organisms are continuously being identified. As stated earlier, there are millions of plant and animal in the world. We know the plant and animal in our own area by their local name. This local name would vary from place to place. Even within a country, probably you would recognize the confusion that would be created if we did not find ways and means to talk to each other to refer to organism we are talking about. Hence, there is a need to standardize the naming of living organisms such that a particular organism is known by the same name all over the world. This process is called nomenclature. Obviously, nomenclature or naming is only possible when the organism is described correctly and we know to what organism the name is attached to. This is identification. In order to facilitate the study, number of scientists have established procedure to assign a scientific name to each non-organism. This is acceptable to biologists all over the world. For plant, scientific names are based on agreed principle and criteria which are provided in International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, ICBN. You may ask, how are animal name? Animal taxonomists have evolved International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. The scientific name ensure that each organism has only one name. Description of any organism should enable the people in any part of the world to arrive at the same name. They also ensure that such a name has not been used for any other non-organism. Biologists follow universally accepted principle to provide scientific name to non-organism. Each name has two components, the generic name and the scientific epithet. This system of providing a name with two components is called binomial nomenclature. This naming system given by Carolus Linnaeus is being practiced by biologists all over the world. This naming system using a two-word format was found convenient. Let us take the example of mango to understand the way of providing scientific name better. The scientific name of mango is written as Mangifera indica. तो इसके अंदर जेनेरिक नेम रहेगा और एक स्पेसिफिक नेम. जेनेरिक नेम का जो स्टार्ट होगा सबसे पहला वर्ड वो है वर्ड जो है ना, ये पहला जो लेटर जो स्टार्ट होगा वो कैपिटल से. इसके बाद जो स्पेसिफिक नेम जैसे मैंगीफेरा जो है ना जेनेरिक नेम वो स्टार्ट हुआ कैपिटल लेटर से. ठीक है, जो स्पेसिफिक नेम है इंडिका. ठीक है, तो इस इंडिका जो है ना वो स्मॉल लेटर से शुरू होगा, जो आई है ना स्मॉल इसके अंदर. लेट अस सी हाउ इट इज बाइनोमियल नेम. इन दिस नेम मैंगीफेरा रिप्रेजेंट द जेनस while the indica is a particular species or a specific epithet. Other universal rule of nomenclature are as follow. Biological name are generally in Latin एंड राइटिंग इन इटैलिक. मतलब लिख जनरली नाम जो होगा ना वो लैटिन में होगा बट लिखेगा किस में, इटैलिक में. दे आर लैटिनाइज और ड्राइव फ्रॉम लैटिन irrespective of their origin. The first word in a biological name represent the genus while the second component denote the specific epithet. Both the word in a biological name in the handwriting are separately underlined or printed in italic. जब प्रिंटेड होगा ना वो इटैलिक में होगा भाई, लिखेगा जो है ना वो इटैलिक में. टू इंडिकेट देयर लैटिन ओरिजिन द फर्स्ट वर्ड डिनोटिंग द जेनस स्टार्ट विद ए कैपिटल लेटर व्हाइल द स्पेसिफिक एपिथेट स्टार्ट विद ए स्मॉल लेटर. इट कैन बी इलस्ट्रेटेड विद द एग्जांपल ऑफ मैंगीफेरा इंडिका. Name of the author appear after the specific epithet at the end of biological name and it is written in abbreviated form. Mangifera indica Linn. It indicates that this species was the first described by Linnaeus. Since it is nearly impossible to study all the living organisms, it is necessary to devise some means to make this possible. This process is classification. Classification is the process by which anything is grouped into convenient category based on some easily observable character. For example, we easily recognize groups such as plant or animal, dogs, cat, insect. The moment we use any of this term, we associate certain characters with the organism in that group. What image do you see when you think of dog? Obviously each one of us will see dogs and not cat. Now if we want to think of Alsatians, we know what we are talking about. Similarly, suppose we are to say mammal, you would of course think of animal with external ears and body here. Likewise in plant, if you try to talk of wheat, the picture in each of our mind will be of wheat plant, not the rice or any other plant. Hence all these dogs, cat, mammals, wheat, rice, plant, animal, etc. are convenient categories we use to study organism. The scientific term for this category is taxa. Here you must recognize that taxa can indicate categories at very different level. Plant also form a taxa, wheat is also a taxa. Similarly animal, mammal, dog are all taxa, but you know that a dog is a mammal and mammal are animal. Therefore animal, mammal, dogs represent taxa at different level. Hence based on characteristic all living organism can be classified into different taxa. This process of classification is taxonomy. External and internal structure along with the structure of cell develop structure of cell. Developmental process and ecological information of organism are essential and form the basis of modern taxonomic studies. Hence, characterization, identification, classification, nomenclature are the process that are basic to taxonomy. Characterization, identification, classification, nomenclature are the process that are basic to taxonomy. Taxonomy is not a something new. Human beings have always been interested in knowing more and more about the various kind of organism, particularly with reference to their own use. In early days, human beings needed to find sources for their basic need for food, clothing, and shelter. Hence, the earliest classification are based on the uses of various organisms. Human beings are since long not only interested in knowing more about different kind of organism and their diversity, but also in the relationship among them. This branch of study was referred to as systematic. The word systematic is derived from the Latin word systema, which means systematic arrangement of organism. Linnaeus used Systema Naturae as the title of his publication. The scope of systematic was later enlarged to include identification, nomenclature, and classification. Systematic takes into account evolutionary relationship between organisms. Taxonomic categories. Classification is not a single step but involve hierarchy of steps in which each step represent a rank or category. Since the category is a part of overall taxonomic arrangement, it is called taxonomic category, and all categories together constitute the taxonomic hierarchy. Each category referred to as a unit of classification in fact represent a rank and it is a commonly termed as taxon, plural taxa, singular taxon. Taxonomic categories or hierarchy can be illustrated by an example. Insect represent a group of organisms sharing common feature like three pair of jointed legs. It means insects are recognizable concrete object which can be classified and thus were given a rank or category. Can you name other such a group of organism? Remember, group represent category. Category further denote rank. Each rank or taxon in fact represent a unit of classification. These taxonomic group categories are distinct biological entities and not merely morphological aggregate. Taxonomical studies of all non-organisms have led to the development of common categories such as kingdom, phylum, division or plant, class, order, family, genus, species. All organisms, including those in the plant and animal kingdom, have species as the lowest category. Now the question you may ask is how to place an organism in various category. The basic requirement is the knowledge of character of an individual or group of organism. These help in identifying similarities and dissimilarities among the individual of the same kind of organism as well as the other kind of organism. Species. Taxonomic studies consider a group of individual organisms with fundamental similarities as a species. One should be able to distinguish one species from the other closely related species based on the distinct morphological difference. Let us consider Mangifera indica, Solanum tuberosum, potato, Panthera leo, lion. All the three names indica, tuberosum, leo represent the specific epithet, while the first one Mangifera, Solanum, Panthera are genera and represent another higher level of taxon or category. Each genus may have one or more than one specific epithet representing different organisms but having morphological similarity. For example, Panthera has another specific epithet called Tegris. Solanum includes species like Nigrum and Melangona. Human beings belong to the species Sapiens, which is grouped in the genus Homo. The scientific name thus human being is written as Homo sapiens. Genus comprises a group of related species which has more character in common in comparison to species of other genera. We can say that genera are aggregate of closely related species. For example, potato and brinjal are two different species but both belong to the genus Solanum. Lion, Panthera leo, leopard, Panthera pardus, and tiger, Panthera tigris, with several common features, are all species of the genus Panthera. These genus differ from another genus Felis, which include cats. family. The next category, family, has a group of related genera with still less number of similarities as compared to the genus and species. Families are characterized on the basis of both vegetative and reproductive feature of plant. ये लाइन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, देखिए, फैमिलीज आर कैरेक्टराइज्ड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ बोथ वेजिटेटिव एंड रिप्रोडक्टिव फीचर ऑफ प्लांट स्पीसीज. ये स्टेटमेंट बेस में आ सकता. अमोंग प्लांट फॉर एग्जांपल 3 डिफरेंट जेनेरा सोलानम, पेटूनिया, धातुरा are placed in the family Solanaceae. Among animal, for example, genus Panthera comprising lion, tiger, leopard is put along with genus Felis, cat, in the family Felidae. Similarly, if you observe the feature of a cat and a dog, you will find some similarities and some difference as well. They are separated into 2 different families, Felidae and Canidae respectively. Water. You have seen earlier that categories like species, genus and families are based on number of similar character. Generally, order and other higher taxonomic categories are identified based on the aggregates of characters. Order, being a higher category, is the assemblage of families which exhibit a few similar character. The similar character are less in number as compared to different genera included in a family. Plant family like Convolvulaceae, Solanaceae are included in the order Polymonial, mainly based on the floral character. The animal order Carnivora include family like Felidae and Canidae. Class. This category include related order. For example, order Primata comprises monkey, gorilla and gibbon, is a place in class Mammalia, along with order Carnivora that include animal like tiger, cat, dog. Class Mammalia has other order also. Phylum. Classes comprising animal like fishes, amphibian, reptile, bird along with mammal constitute the next higher category called phylum. All these based on the common feature like presence of notochord and dorsal hollow neural system are included in phylum Chordata. In case of plant, classes with a few similar character are assigned to a higher category called division. Kingdom. All animal belonging to various phyla are assigned to the highest category called kingdom Animalia in the classification system of animals. The kingdom Plantae, on the other hand, is distinct and comprises all plant from various divisions. Henceforth, we will refer to these 2 groups as animal and plant kingdom. The taxonomic category from species to kingdom have been shown in the ascending order, starting with the species in figure 1.1. These are broad categories. However, taxonomies have also developed subcategories भी होता है taxonomy का. तो जैसे देखिए किंगडम, फाइलम, क्लास, ऑर्डर, फैमिली, जेनस, स्पीसीज, ये जो है ना 1 2 3 4 7 है टोटल. ठीक है, टोटल 7 है. उसमें सब कैटेगरीज किसके अंदर होता है? 3 जो है ना, जैसे सब फाइलम, सब डिवीजन होता है, सब ऑर्डर होता है और सब फैमिली होता है. ठीक है, तो सब किसके अंदर होगा? 3 जो है ना, 3 टैक्सोनॉमी कैटेगरीज के अंदर सब आएगा. सब फाइलम आएगा, सब ऑर्डर आएगा, सब फैमिली आएगा. Look at the hierarchy of in figure 1.1. Can you recall the basis of arrangement? Say for example, as we go higher from species to kingdom, the number of common characteristics goes on decreasing. Lower the taxa, more the characteristics that are member within the taxon here share. Higher the category, greater is the difficulty. Higher the category, greater is the difficulty of determining the relationship to other taxa at the same level. Hence the problem of classification become more complex. तो यहाँ पर एक टेबल देके रखे. टेबल के अंदर क्या है? जो मैन का जो है ना कॉमन नेम मैन है, बट इसका बायोलॉजिकल नेम होमो सैपियंस. जेनस होमो क्या है? जेनस है. सैपियन जो है ना स्पीसीज नेम है. वार्डर ह्यूमन बीइंग का मैन का वार्डर है प्राइमेटा. क्लास है मैमेलिया और इसका जो फाइलम है क्या है? कॉर्डेटा. हाउस फ्लाई कॉमन नेम, बायोलॉजिकल नेम हाउस फ्लाई का क्या है? मुस्का डोमेस्टिका. जेनस है मुस्का, फैमिली है मुसीडी है, वार्डर है डिप्टेरा, क्लास है इंसेक्टा, फाइलम है आर्थ्रोपोडा. मैंगो कॉमन नेम मैंगो, बायोलॉजिकल नेम है मैंगीफेरा इंडिका, जो ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड में बताया जाता है. ठीक है, बोला जाता है मैंगीफेरा इंडिका. जेनस है मैंगीफेरा, फैमिली है एनाकार्डिसिए, वार्डर है सेपिंडल, क्लास है डाइकोटिलेडन, फाइलम है एंजियोस्पर्म. Wheat biological name Triticum aestivum, genus Triticum, family Poaceae, order Poles, मोनोकॉटिलेडन, क्लास मोनोकॉटिलेडन, बट इसका डिवीजन एंजियोस्पर्म है। देखो मैंगो और व्हीट का जो है ना फाइलम नहीं होता, इसका डिवीजन कहा जाता है। जो एंजियोस्पर्म है ना, ये क्या है, डिवीजन कहते हैं इसको, ठीक है। इस तरीके से अभी लिविंग वर्ल्ड चैप्टर खत्म हो गया। अभी चलो हम लोग शुरू करते हैं कौन सा चैप्टर, अभी हम लोग बायोलॉजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन चैप्टर शुरू करेंगे अभी। तो 1 मिनट रिलैक्स करते हैं, फिर हम लोग शुरू करते हैं बायोलॉजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन। चैप्टर 2 बायोलॉजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन। Since the dawn of civilization, there have been many attempts to classify living organisms. It was done instinctively, not using criteria that are scientific but born out of a need to use organisms for our own use, for food, shelter, and clothing. Aristotle was the earliest to attempt a more scientific basis for classification. He used simple morphological characteristics to classify plants into trees, shrubs, and herbs. He also divided animals into two groups, these which had red blood and those that did not. In lineage, the time a two-kingdom system of classification with a plantae and animalia kingdom was developed that include all plantae and animals respectively. This system did not distinguish between the eukaryotes and prokaryotes, unicellular and multicellular organisms, and photosynthetic green algae and non-photosynthetic fungi organisms. Classification of organism into plant and animal was easily done and was easy to understand, but a large number of organisms did not fall into either category. Hence, the two kingdom classification used for a long time was found inadequate. Besides gross morphology, a need was also felt for including other characteristics like cell structure, nature of all, mode of nutrition, habitat, method of reproduction, evolutionary relationship. Classification system for the living organism have hence undergone several changes over the time. Though plant and animal kingdom have been a constant under all different systems, the understanding of what group or organism be included under this kingdom have been changing. The number and nature of other kingdom have also been understood differently by different scientists over that time. R.H. Whittaker 1969 proposed a five-kingdom classification. The kingdom defined by him are named Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, Animalia. The main criteria for classification used by him including cell structure, body organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction and phylogenetic relationship. 5 चीज़ के बेसिस पर R.H. Whittaker ने क्लासिफिकेशन निकाले, ठीक है। कौन सा 5 चीज़ है? सेल स्ट्रक्चर, बॉडी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, मोड ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन एंड रिप्रोडक्शन एंड फाइलोजेनेटिक रिलेशनशिप. Table 2.1 gives a comparative account of different characteristic of the five kingdom. फाइव किंगडम के अलग अलग क्या क्या कैरेक्टरिस्टिक है उस चीज़ के बारे में बताया है, ठीक है। आप ऑडियो सुनने के बाद आप NCERT बुक निकालिए और इस टेबल को अच्छी तरीके से देख लीजिए और उसको अच्छी तरीके से याद कर लीजिए. द 3 domain system has also been proposed that divided the kingdom Monera into 2 domain, leaving the remaining eukaryotic kingdom in the 3rd domain and thereby a 6th kingdom classification. You will learn about this system in detail in higher classes. Let us look at this 5 kingdom classification to understand the issue and consideration that influence the classification system. Earlier classification system including bacteria, blue-green algae, fungi, mosses, fern, gymnosperm and the angiosperm under plantae. The character that unified this whole kingdom was that all the organisms including had a cell wall in their cells. This place together group which widely differ in other characteristics. It brought together the prokaryotic bacteria and the blue-green algae, cyanobacteria, with other group which are eukaryotic. It also grouped together the unicellular organism and the multicellular on, say for example, Chlamydomonas, Spirogyra are placed together under algae. The classification did not differentiate between the heterotrophic group fungi and the autotrophic group plant, though they also show a characteristic difference in their walls composition. The fungi had chitin in their walls, while the green plant had a cellulosic cell wall. When such characteristic are considered, the fungi are placed in a separate kingdom fungi. All prokaryotic organisms are grouped together under kingdom Monera, and the unicellular eukaryotic are placed in a kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista has a brought together Chlamydomonas, Chlorella, earlier placed in algae within plant, and both having cell wall, with Paramecium and Amoeba, which are earlier placed in the animal kingdom, which lack a cell wall. It has put together organisms which in earlier classification are placed in different kingdom. This happened because the criteria for classification change. This kind of changes will take place in future too, depending on the improvement in our understanding of characteristic and evolutionary relationship over time. An attempt has been made to evolve a classification system which reflects not only the morphological, physiological, and reproductive similarities, but it also phylogenetic is based on evolutionary relationship. In this chapter, we will study characteristic of kingdom Monera, Protista, fungi of the Whittaker system of classification. The kingdom Plantae and Animalia, commonly referred to as plant and animal kingdom respectively, will be dealt separately in chapter 3 and 4. Kingdom Monera. Bacteria are the sole member of the kingdom Monera. They are the most abundant microorganism. Bacteria occur almost everywhere. Hundreds of bacteria are present in the handful of soil. They also live in extreme habitats such as hot spring, desert, snow, and deep ocean, where very few other life forms can survive. Many of them live in or on other organisms such as parasite. Bacteria are grouped under the 4 categories based on their shape: the spherical coccus, cocci, the rods of bacillus, rod-shaped bacillus, plural bacilli, the comma-shaped vivarium, plural vivrio, and the spiral spirillum, plural spirilla. तो एनसीईआरटी के अंदर बुक जब निकालोगे तो आपको जो 4 टाइप के बैक्टीरिया होता है, बैक्टीरिया का जो शेप के बेसिस पर जो उसको अलग अलग बैक्टीरिया है शेप के बेसिस पर उसका जो है ना इमेज दिया गया है. सबसे पहले कोकाई का दिया गया है जो स्पेरिकल शेप है, जो रॉड शेप का जो है ना बेसिली का इमेज दिया गया है. इसके बाद स्पेरिला जो स्पाइरल शेप के, विवरियो जो कॉमा शेप के. Though the bacterial structure is very simple, they are very complex in behavior compared to very many. उसका जो स्ट्रक्चर बहुत सिंपल है बैक्टीरिया का, पर उसका जो बिहेवियर है बहुत ही कॉम्प्लेक्स है. compared to many other organisms, bacteria as a group show the most extensive metabolic diversity. Some of the bacteria are autotrophic. They synthesize their own food from inorganic substrates. They may be photosynthetic autotrophic or chemosynthetic autotrophic. The vast majority of bacteria are heterotrophic. They depend on other organism or dead organic matter for food. Archaebacteria. These bacteria are special since they live in some of the most harsh habitats such as extreme salty area, halophiles, hot spring, thermoacidophiles, and marshy area methanogen. Archaebacteria differ from the other bacteria in having different cell wall structure, and this feature is responsible for their survival in extreme conditions. Methanogen are present in the gut of several ruminant animals such as cows and buffaloes, and they are responsible for the production of methane biogas from the dung of this animal. Eubacteria. There are thousands of different eubacteria or true bacteria. They are characterized by the presence of a rigid cell wall and, if motile, a flagellum. The cyanobacteria, also referred to as blue-green algae, have chlorophyll A similar to green plant and are photosynthetic autotrophic. The cyanobacteria are unicellular, colonial, or filamentous freshwater marine or terrestrial algae. The colonies are generally surrounded by gelatinous sheath. They often form blooms in polluted water bodies. Some of these organisms can fix atmospheric nitrogen in a specialized cell called heterocyst, nostoc, and anabina. Chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria oxidize various inorganic substances such as nitrates, nitrites, and ammonia and use the release energy for their ATP production. They play a great role in recycling nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, sulfur. Heterotrophic bacteria are most abundant in nature. The majority are important decomposers. Many of them have a significant impact on human affairs. They are helpful in making curd from milk, production of antibiotic, fixing nitrogen in legume roots. Some are pathogen causing damage to human being, crops, farm, animal and pets. Cholera, typhoid, tetanus, citrus, canker are well-known disease caused by different bacteria. Bacteria are reproduced mainly by fission. Sometimes under unfavorable conditions, they produce spore. They also reproduce by sort of sexual reproduction by adopting a primitive type of DNA transfer from one bacteria to other. The mycoplasma are organisms that are completely The mycoplasma are organisms that completely lack a cell wall. They are the smallest living cell known and can survive without oxygen. Many mycoplasma are pathogenic in animals and plants. Kingdom Protista. All single cell eukaryotes are placed under Protista, but the boundaries of the kingdom are not well defined. What may be photosynthetic protista to one biologist may be a plant to another. In this book, we include chrysophyte, dinoflagellate, iglonoid, slime molds, and protozoan. Under Protista, members of Protista are primarily aquatic. This kingdom forms a link with the other dealing with a plant, animal and fungi. Being eukaryotes, the protistan cell body contain a well-defined nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. Some have flagella or cilia. Protista reproduce asexually and sexually by process involving cell fusion and zygote formation. Chrysophyte. This group include diatom and golden algae desmid. They are found in freshwater as well as marine environment. They are microscopic and float passively in water current. Plankton. Most of them are photosynthetic. In diatom, the cell wall form two thin overlapping cells which fit together as in soap box. The wall are embedded with silica, and thus the walls are indestructible. The wall are embedded with silica and thus the walls are indestructible. Thus diatom have left behind large amount of cell deposit in their habitat. The accumulation over billion of years is referred to as diatomeous earth. Being gritty, this soil is used in polishing, filtration of oil. Being gritty, this soil is used in polishing, filtration of oil and syrups. Diatom are the chief producer in the ocean. Dinoflagellate. These organisms are mostly marine and photosynthetic. They appear yellow, green, brown, blue, red depending on the main pigment present in their cell. The cell wall has stiff cellulosic plates on the outer surface. Most of them have two flagella. One lies longitudinally and other transversely in a furrow between the wall plate. Very often red dinoflagellate, example goniolax, undergo such rapid multiplication that they make sea appear red tides. Toxin released by such large number may even kill other marine animals such as fishes. Euglenoid. Majority of them are freshwater organisms found in stagnant water. Instead of a cell wall, they have a protein-rich layer called pellicle which makes their body flexible. They have two flagella, one a short and a long one. Though they are photosynthetic in the presence of sunlight, when deprived of sunlight, they behave like heterotrophs by predating on other smaller organisms. Interestingly, the pigment of euglenoid are identical to those present in higher plant. Example, euglena. Slime mold. Slime mold are saprophytic protists. The body moves along decaying twigs and leaves engulfing organic material. Under suitable conditions, they form an aggregation called plasmodium, which may grow and spread over several feet. During unfavorable conditions, the plasmodium differentiate and form fruiting bodies bearing spores and their tips. The spore poses true wall. They are extremely resistant and survive for many years. Even under adverse conditions, the spores are dispersed by air current. Protozoans. All protozoans are heterotrophs and live as predator or parasite. They are believed to be primitive relatives of animal. There are four major groups of protozoan. Amoeboid protozoan. These organisms live in fresh water, sea water, or moist soil. They move and capture their prey by putting out pseudopodia, false feet, as in amoeba. Marine form have silica shell on their surface. Some of them, such as int amoeba, are parasite. Flagellated protozoan. The member of this group are either free living or parasite. They have flagella. The parasitic form cause disease such as sleeping sickness. Example, trypanosoma. Ciliated protozoans. These are aquatic, actively moving organisms. Because of the presence of thousands of cilia, they have a cavity gullet that open to the outside of the cell surface. The coordinated movement of rows of cilia cause the raw water laden with food to be steered into the gullet. Example, paramecium. Sporozoans. These include diverse organisms that have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. The most notorious is Plasmodium, malarial parasite, which causes malaria, a disease which has a staggering effect on human population. Kingdom fungi. तो अभी तक हम लोग क्या क्या पढ़े? किंगडम मोनेरा, किंगडम प्रोटिस्टा रीडिंग हो गया. अभी किंगडम फंगाई को पढ़ते हैं और ये बहुत ही ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है. The fungi constitute a unique kingdom of heterotrophic organisms. They show a great diversity in morphology and habitat. You must have seen fungi on a moist bread and rotten fruits. The common mushroom you eat and toadstool are also fungi. White spots seen on mustard leaves are due to a parasitic fungus. Some unicellular fungi yeast are used to make bread and beer. Other fungi cause disease in plant and animal. Wheat rust causing Puccinia is an important example. Some are the source of antibiotic. Penicillium fungi are cosmopolitan. And occur in air, water, soil, and on animal and plant. They prefer to grow in warm and humid place. Have you ever wondered why we keep food in the refrigerator? Yes, it is to prevent food from going bad due to bacterial or fungal infection. With the exception of yeast, which are unicellular, fungi are filamentous. Their bodies consist of long, cylinder, thread-like structure called hyphae. The network of hyphae is known as mycelium. Some hyphae are continuous tube filled with multinucleated cytoplasm. These are called coinocytic hyphae. Some hyphae are continuous tube filled with multinucleated cytoplasm. These are called coinocytic hyphae. Others have septae or cross wall in their hyphae. The cell wall of fungi are composed of chitin and polysaccharide. The cell walls of fungi are composed of chitin and polysaccharide. Most of the fungi are heterotrophic and absorb soluble organic matter from dead substrates and hence are called saprophyte. Those that depend on living plant and animal are called parasite. They can also lie by symbiont in association with algae is lichen with the root of higher plant mycorrhiza. Reproduction in fungi can take place by vegetative means, fragmentation, fission, and budding. Asexual reproduction called conidia, sporangiosperm, zoospores. And sexual reproduction is by oospores, ascospore, basidiospore. The various spores produce a distinct structure called fruiting bodies. The sexual cycle involved in the following three steps. Fusion of protoplasm between two motile or non-motile gamete called plasmogamy. Fusion of two nuclei called karyogamy. Meiosis in zygote resulting in haploid spores. When a fungus reproduces sexually, two haploid hyphae of compatible mating types come together and fuse in some fungi. The fusion of two haploid cells immediately results in a diploid cell 2N. However, in other fungi, Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes, an intervening dikaryotic stage N plus N, 2 nuclei per cell occur. Such a condition is called dikaryon and the phases is called dikaryophase of fungus. Later the parent nuclei fuse and the cell become diploid. The fungi form fruiting bodies in which reduction division occur, leading to formation of haploid spore. The morphology of mycelium, mode of spore formation and fruiting bodies form the basis for the division of the kingdom into various classes. फाइकोमाइसिटिस फंगाई की अलग अलग क्लास में डिवाइड किया गया, उसमें से फाइकोमाइसिटिस, एस्कोमाइसिटिस, बेसिडियोमाइसिटिस, ड्यूट्रोमाइसिटिस. तो चलो हम लोग स्टार्ट करते हैं फाइकोमाइसिटिस. मेंबर ऑफ फाइकोमाइसिटिस आर फाउंड इन एक्वेटिक हैबिटेट एंड वाइल्ड एंड वन डिकेइंग वुड इन मॉइस्ट एंड डैम्प प्लेसेस और एज ऑब्लिगेट पैरासाइट ऑन प्लांट. The mycelium is aseptate and coinocytic. Asexual reproduction takes place by zoospores motile or by aplanospores non-motile. These spores are endogenously produced in sporangium. A zygospore is formed by fusion of two gametes. These gametes are similar in morphology, isogamous or dissimilar, anisogamous or oogamous. Some common examples are mucor, rhizopus, the bread mold mentioned earlier, and albugo, the parasitic fungi on master. Ascomycetes, commonly known as sac fungi. The ascomycetes are mostly multicellular, penicillium or rarely unicellular. Yeast, Saccharomyces. They are saprophytic, decomposers, parasitic or coprophilous growing on dung. Mycelium is branched and septate. The asexual spores are conidia produced exogenously on the special mycelium called conidiophore. Conidia on germination produce mycelium. Sexual spores are called ascospore, which are produced endogenously in sac like asci, singular ascus. These asci are arranged in different type of fruiting bodies called ascocarp. Some example are Aspergillus, claviceps, Neurospora. Neurospora is used extensively in biochemical and genetic work. Many members like morel and truffle are edible and are considered delicacies. Basidiomycetes, commonly known form of basidiomycetes are mushroom bracket fungi or puff balls. Commonly known form of basidiomycetes are mushroom bracket fungi or puffballs. They grow in soil, on logs and tree stump, and in living plant bodies as parasite. Rusts and smuts. The mycelium is branched and septate. The asexual spores are generally not found, but vegetative reproduction by fragmentation is common. The sex organs are absent, but plasmogamy is brought about by fusion of two vegetative or somatic cell. Plasmogamy is brought about by fusion of two vegetative or somatic cell of different strain or genotypes. The resultant structure is dikaryotic, which ultimately give rise to basidium. Karyogamy and meiosis take place in the basidium, producing 4 basidiospores. The basidiospores are exogenously produced on the basidia. The basidia are arranged in fruiting bodies called basidiocarps. Some common members are agaricus, mushroom, Ustilago, smart, Puccinio, rast fungus. Deuteromycetes, commonly known as imperfect fungi, because only the asexual or vegetative phase of this fungi are known. When the sexual form of this fungi are discovered, they are moved into classes they are rightly belong to. It is also possible that the asexual and vegetative stage have been given one name, placed under Deuteromycetes, and sexual stage another and placed under another class. Later, when the linkage or established, the fungi are correctly identified and move out of Deuteromycetes. On perfect sexual stage of the member of Deuteromycetes are discovered, they are often moved to Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes. The Deuteromycetes reproduce only by a sexual spore known as conidia. The mycelium is septate and branched. Some members are saprophytes or parasite, while a large number of them are decomposers of litter, help in mineral cycling. Some examples are Alternaria, Coleotrichum, Trichoderma. Kingdom Plantae include all eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms commonly called plant. A few members are partially heterotrophic, such as the insectivorous plant or parasite. Bladderwort and venous flytrap are example of the insectivorous plant. Bladderwort and venous flytrap are the example of insectivorous plant, and Cuscuta is a parasite The plant cell have an eukaryotic structure with prominent chloroplast and cell wall mainly made up of cellulose. You will study the eukaryotic cell structure in detail in chapter 8 plant, including algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperm, angiosperm. Life cycle of plant has two distinct phases, the diploid saprophytic and the haploid gametophytic, that alternate with each other. The length of the haploid and diploid phases and whether these phases are free living or dependent on others vary among different group in plant. This phenomena is called alternation of generation. You will study further detail of the kingdom in chapter 3. Kingdom Animalia. This kingdom is characterized by heterotrophic eukaryotic organism that are multicellular and their cell lack a cell wall. They directly or indirectly depend on plant for food. They digest their food in an internal cavity or store food reserve as glycogen or fat. Their mode of nutrition is holozoic. By ingestion of food they follow a defined growth pattern and grow into adult that have a definite shape and size. Higher forms show elaborate sensory and neuromotor mechanism. Most of them are capable of locomotion. The sexual reproduction is by copulation of male and female followed by embryological development. Silent feature of various phyla are described in chapter 4. Viruses, viroid and prion and lichen. Viruses, viroids, prion and lichen. In the 5 kingdom classification of Whittaker, there is no mention of lichen and some acellular organism like viruses, viroid, prion. These are briefly introduced here. All of us who have suffered the ill effect of common cold or flu know what effect various can have on us, even if we do not associate it with our condition. Viruses did not find a place in classification since they are not considered true living. If we understand living as those organisms that have a cell structure, the viruses are non-cellular organisms that are characterized by having an inert crystalline structure outside the living cell. Once they infect a cell, they take over the machinery of the host cell to replicate themselves, killing the host. Would you call viruses living or non-living? Virus mean venom or poisonous fluid. Dmitry Ivanovsky, 1892, recognized certain microbe as casual organism of the mosaic disease of tobacco. These are found to be smaller than bacteria because they pass through bacteria-proof filter. M.W. Vizhernik, 1898, demonstrated that the extract of the infected plant of tobacco could cause infection in healthy plant and named the new pathogen virus called the fluid as Contagium vivum fluidum, infectious living fluid. W.M. Stanley, 1935, showed that the viruses could be crystallized and crystal consist largely of protein. They are inert outside their specific host cell. Viruses are obligate parasite. In addition to protein, viruses also contain genetic material that could be either RNA or DNA. No virus contains both RNA and DNA. A virus is nucleoprotein and the genetic material is infectious. In general, viruses that infect plant have single-stranded RNA and viruses that infect animal have either single or double-stranded RNA or double-stranded DNA. Single or double-stranded RNA or double-stranded DNA. Bacteria viruses or bacteriophages, viruses that infect the bacteria, are usually double-stranded DNA virus. The protein coat called capsid, made up of a small subunit called capsomer, protect the nucleic acid. These capsomer are arranged in helical or polyhedral geometric form. Viruses cause disease like mumps, smallpox, herpes, and influenza. AIDS in human is also caused by virus. In plant, the symptoms can be mosaic formation, leaf rolling and curling, yellowing, and vein clearing, dwarfing, and stunted growth. Viroids. In 1971, Theo Diener discovered a new infectious agent that was smaller than virus and caused potato spindle tuber disease. It was found to be free RNA. It lacked the protein coat that is found in viruses, hence the name viroid. The RNA of the viroid was of low molecular weight. Prion in modern medicine, certain infectious neurological diseases are found to be transmitted by an agent consisting of abnormally folded protein. The agent are similar in size to virus. मतलब प्रियन और वायरस का साइज जो है ना सिमिलर है. These agents are called prion. The most notable disease caused by prion are bovine spongiform encephalopathy, commonly called mad cow disease in cattle, and in analogous variant and CR-Jacob disease, CJD in human. Lichen are symbiotic association, mutually useful association between algae and fungi. The algal component is known as phycobind and fungal component is a component as mycobind, which are autotrophic and heterotrophic respectively. Algae prepare food for the fungi and fungi provide shelter and absorb mineral, nutrient and water for its partner. So close is their association that if one saw a lichen in nature, one would never imagine that they had two different organisms within them. Lichen are very good pollution indicator. They do not grow in polluted areas. Lichen are very good pollution indicator. They do not grow in polluted areas. Chapter 3, Plant Kingdom. In the previous chapter, we looked at the broad classification of living organism under the system proposed by Whittaker 1969, wherein he suggested the 5 kingdom classification: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Animalia and Plantae. In this chapter, we will deal in detail with further classification within kingdom Plantae, popularly known as the plant kingdom. We must stress here that our understanding of the plant kingdom has changed over time. Fungi and the member of the Monera and Protista having cell wall have now been excluded from Plantae, though earlier classification placed them in the same kingdom. So the cyanobacteria that are also referred to as blue-green algae are not algae anymore. In this chapter, we will describe algae, bryophyte. Pteridophyte, gymnosperm and angiosperm under Plantae. Let us also look at classification within angiosperm to understand some of the concerns that influence the classification system. The earliest system of classification used only gross superficial morphological characters such as habit, color, number and shape of leaves, etc. They are based mainly on vegetative character or on the androecium structure system given by Linnaeus. Such systems are artificial. They separated the closely related species since they are based on a few characteristics. Also, the artificial system gave equal weightage to the vegetative and sexual characteristic. This is not acceptable since we know that often the vegetative character are more easily affected by environment as against this natural classification system developed which are based on natural affinities among the organism and consider not only the external feature but also internal feature like ultrastructure, anatomy, embryology and phytochemistry. Such a classification for flowering plant was given by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. At present, phylogenetic classification system based on evolutionary relationship between the various organisms are acceptable. This assumes that organisms belonging to the same taxa have a common ancestor. We now use information from many other sources to help resolve difficulties in classification. This becomes more important when there is no supporting fossil evidence. Numerical taxonomy, which is now easily carried out using computer, is based on all observable characteristics. Number and code are assigned to all the character and the data are then processed. In this way, each character is given equal importance and at the same time hundred of character can be considered. Cytotaxonomy, that is based on cytological information like chromosome number, structure, behavior, and the chemotaxonomy that uses the chemical constituents of the plant to resolve confusion are also used by taxonomies these days. Algae. Algae are chlorophyll bearing simple thalide autotrophic and largely aquatic both freshwater and marine organism. They occur in a variety of other habitat moist stone, soil, wood. Some of them also occur in association with fungi, lichen, animals, sloth, bear. The form and size of algae is highly variable, ranging from colonial form like volvox and the filamentous form like Eleutheryx and Spirogyra. A few of them of the marine forms such as scale form massive plant bodies. The algae reproduce by vegetative, asexual and sexual method. Vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation. Each fragment develop into a thallus. Asexual reproduction is by the production of different types of spores. The most common being the zoospores. They are flagellated, motile and on germination give rise to new plant. Sexual reproduction takes place through fusion of two gametes. These gametes can be flagellated and similar in size Eleutheryx, or non-flagellated, non-motile but similar in size Spirogyra. The gametes can be flagellated and similar in size Eleutheryx, non-flagellated, non-motile but similar in size Spirogyra. Such reproduction is called isogamous. Fusion of two gametes dissimilar in size as a species of Eudorina is termed as anisogamous. Fusion between a large non-motile female gamete and smaller motile male gamete is termed called oogamous. Volvox fucus. Algae are useful to man. Algae are useful to man in variety of ways. At least a half of the total carbon dioxide fixation on Earth is carried out by algae through photosynthesis. Being photosynthetic, they increase the level of dissolved oxygen in their immediate environment. They are of paramount importance as primary producer of energy-rich compound which form the basis of food cycle of all aquatic animal. Many species of Porphyra, Laminaria and Sargassum are among the 70 species of marine algae used as a food. Certain marine brown red algae produce large amount of hydrocolloid water holding substance, algine brown algae and carrageen red algae, which are used commercially. Agar one of the commercial product obtained from Gelidium gracilaria are used. Agar one of the commercial product obtained from Gelidium gracilaria used to grow microbe and in preparation of ice cream and jellies. Chlorella, a unicellular algae rich in protein, is used as a food supplement even by space traveler. The algae are divided into three main classes: Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae. Chlorophyceae. The member of Chlorophyceae are commonly called green algae. The plant body may be unicellular, colonial or filamentous. They are usually grass green due to the dominance of pigment chlorophyll A and B. The pigments are localized in definite chloroplast. The chloroplast may be discoid, plate-like, reticulate, cup-shaped, spiral or ribbon-shaped in different species. Most of the members have one or more storage bodies called pyrenoid located in the chloroplast. Pyrenoid contain protein beside starch. Some algae may store food in the form of oil droplet. Green algae usually have a rigid cell wall made up of inner layer of cellulose and outer layer of pectose. Vegetative reproduction usually takes place by fragmentation or by formation of different types of spore. Asexual reproduction is by flagellated zoospores produced in zoosporangium. The sexual reproduction show considerable variation in the type and formation of sex cell, and it may be isogamous, anisogamous or oogamous. Some commonly found green algae are Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Eleutheryx, Spirogyra, Cara. Phaeophyceae. Brown algae. The member of Phaeophyceae or brown algae are found primarily in marine habitat. They show a great variation in size and form. They range from simple branch filamentous form ectocarpus to profusely branched forms such as represented by kelps which may reach a height of 100 meters. They possess chlorophyll A, C, carotenoid xanthophyll. chlorophyll A, C, carotenoid, xanthophyll. They vary in color from olive green to various shades of brown depending upon the amount of the xanthophyll pigment ficoxanthin present in them. Food is stored as complex carbohydrate which may be in the form of laminarin or mannitol. The vegetative cell have a cellulosic wall usually covered on the outside by a gelatinous coating of algin. The protoplast contain in addition to plastid a centrally located vacuole and the nucleus. The plant body is usually attached to the substratum by a holdfast and has a stalk, the stipe and leaf-like photosynthetic organ, the frond. Vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation. Asexual reproduction in most brown algae is by biflagellated zoospores that are pear-shaped and have two unequal laterally attached flagella. Sexual reproduction may be isogamous, anisogamous, oogamous. Union of gametes may take place in water or within the oogamous species. The gametes are pyriform, pear-shaped and bear two laterally attached flagella. The common form are Ectocarpus, Dictyota, Laminaria, Sargassum, Fucus. Rhodophyceae, red algae. The members of Rhodophyceae are commonly called red algae because of the predominance of the red pigment R-phycoerythrin in their body. Majority of the red algae are marine with the greater concentration found in the warmer areas. They occur in both well-lighted regions close to the surface of water and also at great depth in ocean where relatively little light penetrates. The red thalli of most of the red algae are multicellular. Some of them have complex body organization. The food is stored as Floridian starch, which is very similar to amylopectin and glycogen in structure. The red algae usually reproduce vegetatively by fragmentation. They reproduce asexually by non-motile spores and sexually by non-motile gametes. Sexual reproduction is oogamous and accompanied by complex post-fertilization development. The common member are Polysyphonia, Porphyra, Gracilaria, Gelidium. Bryophyte include the various mosses and liverwort that are found commonly growing in moist shaded areas in the hills. Bryophyte are also called amphibian of the plant kingdom because this plant can live in soil but are dependent on water for sexual reproduction. They usually occur in damp, humid and shaded localities. They play an important role in plant succession or bare rock soil. The plant body of bryophyte is more differentiated than that of algae. It is thallus-like and prostrate or erect and attached to the substratum by unicellular or multicellular rhizoids. They lack true roots, stem or leaves. They may possess root-like, leaf-like, stem-like structure. The main plant body of the bryophyte is haploid. If it produces gamete, hence it is called gametophyte. The sex organ in bryophyte are multicellular. The male sex organ is called antheridium. They produce biflagellated antherozoids. The female sex organ is called archegonium, is flax shaped. एंथ्रोजॉइड्स जो है ना वो बाइफ्लैजेलेटेड है और आर्केगोनिया जो है ना वो फ्लैक्स शेप्ड है. कौन सा है? फ्लैक्स शेप्ड. एंड प्रोड्यूस ए सिंगल एग. The antherozoids are released into water where they come in contact with the archegonium and antherozoid fused with the egg to produce the zygote. The zygote do not undergo reduction division immediately. They produce a multicellular body called sporophyte. The sporophyte is not a free living but attached to the photosynthetic gametophyte and derive nourishment from it. Some cell of the sporophyte undergo reduction division meiosis. Some cell of the sporophyte undergo reduction division meiosis to produce haploid spore. These spores germinate to produce gametophyte. Bryophyte in general are of little economic importance, but some mosses provided food for herbivorous mammal, bird and other animal. Species of Sphagnum, a moss provide peat that have long been used as a fuel as a packing material for transshipment of living material because of their capacity to hold water. Mosses along with lichen are the first organism to colonize rocks and hence are of a great ecological importance. They decompose rocks, making the substrate suitable for the growth of the higher plant. Since mosses form dense mat on the soil, they reduce the impact of falling rain and prevent soil erosion. In the bryophyte are divided into liverroot and mosses. The bryophyte are divided into liverroot and mosses. Liverworts and mosses. The liverwort grow usually in moist, sandy habitats such as bank of stream, marshy ground, damp soil, bark of trees, and deep in the woods. The plant body of liverwort is thalloid, Markensia. The thallus is a dorsiventral and closely appraised to the substrate. The leafy member have tiny leaf-like appendages in two rows on the stem-like structure. Asexual reproduction in liverwort take place by fragmentation of thalli or by the formation of a specialized structure called gemmae, singular gemma. Gemmae are green multicellular asexual buds. Gemmae are green multicellular asexual buds which develop in a small receptacle called gemma cup located on the thalli. The gemma become detached from the parent body and germinate to form new individual. During sexual reproduction, the male and female sex organ are produced either on the same or on a different thalli. The sporophyte is differentiated into food seta capsule. After meiosis, spores are produced within the capsule. These spores germinate to form free-living gametophyte, mosses. The predominant stage of the life cycle of mosses is the gametophyte, which consists of two stages. The first stage is the protonema stage, which develops directly from a spore. It is creeping green branch and frequently filamentous stage. The second stage is the leafy stage, which develops from the secondary protonema as a lateral bud. They consist of upright cylinder axis bearing spirally arranged leaves. They are attached to the soil through multicellular and branch rhizoids. This stage bear the sex organ. Vegetative reproduction in mosses is by fragmentation and budding is the secondary protonema. In sexual reproduction, the sex organ, antheridia and archegonia are produced at the apex of the leafy shoots. After fertilization, the zygote develop into a sporophyte consisting of a food seta capsule. The sporophyte in mosses is more elaborate than that in liverwort. The capsule contains spores. Spores are formed after meiosis. The meiosis have an elaborate mechanism of spore dispersal. Common example of mosses are Funaria polytrichum sphagnum. Common example of mosses are Funaria polytrichum sphagnum. Pteridophyte. The pteridophyte include horsetail and fern. Pteridophyte are used for medicinal purpose and as soil binder. They are also frequently grown as ornamental. Evolutionary, they are the first terrestrial plant to possess vascular tissue, xylem and phloem. You shall study more about this tissue on chapter 6. The pteridophyte are found in cool, damp, sandy places, though some may flourish well in sandy soil condition. You may recall that in bryophyte, the dominant phase in the life cycle is the gametophytic plant body. However, in pteridophyte, the main plant body is the sporophyte, which is differentiated into true root, true stem, true leaves. This organism possesses well differentiated vascular tissue. The leaves in pteridophyte are small microphyls as in Selaginella, large macrophyls as in fern. The sporophyte bear sporangia that are subtended by leaf-like appendages called sporophyll. In some cases, sporophyll may form distinct compact structure called strobili or cone. Selaginella equestem. The sporangia produce spores by meiosis in spore mother cell. The spores germinate to give rise to inconspicuous, small but multicellular or free-living, mostly photosynthetic thalloid gametophytes called prothallus. These gametophytes require cool, damp, sandy place to grow. Because of this specific restricted requirement and the need for water for fertilization, the spread of living pteridophyte is limited and restricted to narrow geographical region. The gametophyte bear male and female sex organ called antheridia and archegonia respectively. Water is required for transport of antherozoids. The male gamete released from the antheridia to the mouth of archegonium. Fusion of male gamete fusion of male gamete with the egg present in the archegonium result in the formation of zygote, which is the dominant phase of the zygote thereafter produce a multicellular well differentiated sporophyte which is the dominant phase of the pteridophyte. Zygote thereafter produce a multicellular well differentiated sporophyte which is the dominant phase of the pteridophyte. In majority of the pteridophyte, all the spores are of similar kind. Such plant are called homosporous. General like Selaginella and Salvinia, which produce two kind of spore, macro large and micro small spore, known as heterosporous. The megaspore and microspore germinate and give rise to female and male gametophyte respectively. The female gametophyte in this plant are retained on the parent sporophyte for a variable period. The development of the zygote into young embryo take place within the female gametophyte. This event is precursor to the seed habit, considered an important step in evolution. The pteridophyte are further classified into four classes: Coelopsida, Coelotum, Lycopsida, Selaginella, Lycopodium, Sphenopsida, Equestum, and Pteropsida, Dryopteris, Pteris, Adiantum. Gymnosperms. The gymnosperm, gymnosnaked sperma seeds are plants in which the ovules are not enclosed by any ovary wall and remain exposed both before and after fertilization. The seeds that develop post-fertilization are not covered, are naked. Gymnosperm include medium-sized trees or tall trees and shrubs. One of the gymnosperm, the giant redwood tree Sequoia, is one of the tallest tree species. The roots are generally taproot. Roots in some genera have fungal association in the form of mycorrhiza pinus, while in some other cycas, small specialized root called coralloid roots are association with N2 fixing cyanobacteria. The stem are unbranched cycas or branch pinus cedrus. The stem are unbranched cycas और branched pinus और cedrus. मतलब जो स्टेम है पाइनस और सीडरस के अंदर ब्रांच होगा बट साइकस के अंदर अनब्रांच होगा. द लीव्स may be simple or compound. In cycas, the pinnate leaf persists for a few years. The leaves in gymnosperm are well adapted to withstand extreme of temperature, humidity and wind. In conifer, the needle-like leaves reduce the surface area. Their thick cuticle and sunken stomata also help to reduce water loss. The gymnosperm are heterosporous. They produce haploid microspore and megaspore. The two kinds of spores are produced within the sporangia that are borne on sporophyll, which are arranged spirally along an axis to form lac or compact strobili or cone. The strobili bearing microsporophyll and microsporangia are called microsporangiate or male strobili. The microspore develop into a male gametophytic generation which is highly reduced and is confined to only a limited number of cells. This reduced gametophyte is called pollen grain. The development of pollen grain takes place within the microsporangia. The cones bearing megasporophyll with ovules or megasporangia are called microsporangiate or female strobili. The male or female cone or strobili may be born on the same tree, Pinus. However, in cycas, male cone and megasporophyll are born on different trees. The megaspore mother cell is differentiated from one of the cell of the nucellus. The nucellus is protected by an envelope, and the composite structure is called an ovule. The ovule are born on megasporophyll, which may be clustered to form the female cone. The megaspore mother cell divided meiotically to form 4 megaspore. One of the megaspore enclosed within the megasporangium develop into the multicellular female gametophyte that bear 2 or more archegonia or female sex organ. The multicellular female gametophyte is also retained within the megasporangium. Unlike bryophyte and pteridophyte, and in gymnosperm, the male and female gametophytes do not have an independent free living existence. They remain within the sporangia, retain on the sporophyte. The pollen grain is released from the microsporangium. They are carried in an air current and come in contact with the opening of the ovule born on megasporophyll. The pollen tube carrying the male gamete grow toward the archegonia in the ovule and discharge their content near the mouth of the archegonia. Following fertilization, zygote develop into an embryo and the ovule into seed. These seeds are not covered. Unlike gymnosperm, where the ovule are naked in the angiosperm or flowering plant, the pollen grain and ovule are developed in a specialized structure called flower. In angiosperm, the seeds are enclosed in fruits. The angiosperm are an exceptionally large group of plants occurring in a wide range of habitat. They range in size from the smallest Olphia to tall trees of eucalyptus over 100 meter. They provide us with food, fodder, fuel, medicine, and several other commercially important products. They are divided into two classes, dicotyledon and the monocotyledon. Chapter 4, Animal Kingdom. When you look around, you will observe different animals with different structure and forms. As over a million species of animals have been described till now, the need for classification becomes all the more important. The classification also helps in assigning a systematic position to newly described species. Basis of classification. In spite of difference in structure and form of different animals, there are fundamental features common to various individuals in relation to the arrangement of the cell, body, symmetry, nature of xylem, pattern of digestive, circulatory or reproductive system. These features are used as the basis of animal classification and some of them are discussed here. Level of organization. Though all members of Animalia are multicellular, all of them do not exhibit the same pattern of organization of cell. For example, in sponges, the cells are arranged as a loose cell aggregates. They exhibit cellular level of organization. Some division of labor activities occur among the cell. In coelenterate, the arrangement of cell is more complex. Here, the cell performing the same function are arranged into tissue, hence is called tissue level of organization. A still higher level of organization, organ level is exhibited by member of Platyhelminthes and other higher phyla, where tissue are grouped together to form organ, each specialized for a particular function. In animal like Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata and Chordata, organ have associated to form functional system. Each system concerned with a specific physiological function. This pattern is called organ system level of organization. Organ system is in different group of animal exhibit various pattern of complexities. For example, the digestive system in Platyhelminthes has only a single opening to the outside of the body that serve as both mouth and anus, and it is hence called the incomplete. A complete digestive system has two openings, a mouth and anus. Similarly, the circulatory system may be of two types. Open type, in which blood is pumped out of the heart and the cell and tissue are directly bathed in it, and closed type, in which blood is circulated through a series of vessels of varying diameter, arteries, veins and capillaries. Symmetry. Animal can be categorized on the basis of their symmetry. Sponges are mostly asymmetrical. Any plane that passes through the center does not divide them into equal halves. When any plane passing through the central edges of the body divide the organism into two identical halves, it is called radial symmetry. Coelenterate, Ctenophora and Echinodermata. Coelenterate, Ctenophora, Echinodermata have a radial symmetry. Have this kind of body plan. Animal like Annelida, Arthropoda, where the body can be divided into identical left and right half in only one plane, exhibit bilateral symmetry. Diploblastic and triploblastic organization. Animal in which the cell are arranged in two embryonic layer, an external ectoderm and internal endoderm, are called diploblastic animal. Ciliate and undifferentiated layer mesoglea is present in between the ectoderm and endoderm. Those animal in which the developing embryo has a third germinal layer mesoderm in between the ectoderm and endoderm are called triploblastic animal. Platyhelminthes to chordate. Coelom, presence or absence of a cavity between the body wall or the gut wall is very important in classification. The body cavity which is lined by mesoderm is called coelom. Animal possessing coelom are called coelomate. Example, coelomate किस किस के अंदर है? एनेलिडा के अंदर है, एनेलिड, मोलस्का, आर्थ्रोपोडा, इकाइनोडर्माटा, हेमिकॉर्डाटा, कॉर्डाटा। एनेलिडा के बाद जितने भी आएगा जैसे एनेलिडा, मोलस्का, आर्थ्रोपोडा, इकाइनोडर्माटा, हेमिकॉर्डाटा, कॉर्डाटा. In some animal, the body cavity is not lined by mesoderm. Instead, the mesoderm is present, scattered pouch in between the ectoderm or endoderm. Such a body cavity is called pseudocoelom. The animal possessing them are called pseudocoelomate. Aschelminthes. The animal in which the body cavity is absent are called acoelomate. Platyhelminthes. Segmentation. In some animal, the body is externally and internally divided into segments with a serial repetition of at least some organ. For example, in earthworm, the body shows the pattern called metameric segmentation, and the phenomena is known as metamerism. Notochord. Notochord is a mesodermally dry rod-like structure formed on the dorsal side during embryonic development in some animal. Animal with notochord are called chordate, and those animal which do not form this structure are called non-chordate porifera to echinoderm. Notochord, ठीक है, they do not have structure are called non-chordate. Non-chordate कौन सा है? पोरीफेरा से लेके इकाइनोडर्म तक non-chordate, ठीक है, मतलब वो क्या non-chordate. इकाइनोडर्माटा के बाद जो कॉर्डेट के बाद जितने भी है वो सारे क्या होगा, तो कॉर्डेट, इकाइनोडर्माटा इसके बाद कॉर्डेट आएगा, ठीक है. पर पोरीफेरा, इकाइनोडर्म और नॉन कॉर्डेट. क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ एनिमल्स. द ब्रॉड क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ एनिमेलिया बेस्ड ऑन कॉमन फंडामेंटल फीचर एज मेंशन इन द प्रीसीडिंग सेक्शन एज गिवन फिगर 4.4. तो 4.4 के अंदर एक फिगर दिया गया है जिसके अंदर देखो कि एनिमेलिया मल्टी सेलुलर. एनिमेलिया जो है ना, हम लोग इस चैप्टर में मल्टी सेलुलर के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. एनिमेलिया को 2 पार्ट्स में डिवाइड किया गया है, एक सेलुलर लेवल और एक टिश्यू ऑर्गन और ऑर्गन सिस्टम लेवल. जो सेलुलर लेवल के अंदर मोस्टली एसिमेट्रिकल है सारे. बॉडी कैविटी जो है ना वो ये सिलो में, मतलब बॉडी कैविटी नहीं है. फाइलम जो है ना वो पोरीफेरा है. फिर जो दूसरा सेक्शन में दूसरा जो है टिश्यू ऑर्गन सिस्टम को एक पार्ट में डिवाइड किया गया. उसके अंदर एक रेडियल और बायरेटियल. रेडियल अगर बात करें हम, जो रेडियल है उसके अंदर जो सिमेट्री है वो ये सिलोमेट है. कौन सा है? सिलेंट्रेटा और टिनोफोरा. नीरेरिया एंड टिनोफोरा. सिलेंट्रेटा, टिनोफोरा ये क्या है? दोनों ये सिलोमेट है. रेडियल है, ये सिलोमेट है, और ये क्या है? सिलेंट्रेटा, टिनोफोरा. जो बाइलेट्रियल है, बाइलेट्रियल किसके इसके अंदर है? विदाउट बॉडी कैविटी, जो ये सिलोमेट है. विथ फॉल्स सिलोम, सूडोसिलोमेट है, और एक विथ ट्रू सिलोम, एक सिलोमेट है. तो उसके अंदर विदाउट बॉडी कैविटी बाइलेट्रियल के अंदर प्लैटीहेल्मिन्थिस है, जो कि है तुम्हारा ये सिलोमेट है. बाइलेट्रियल के अंदर आस्केल्मिन्थिस है, ठीक है, जो क्या है तुम्हारा सूडोसिलोमेट है, मतलब फॉल्स सिलोम है. और जो ट्रू सिलोम है बाइलेट्रियल के अंदर, जो ट्रू सिलोम है वो क्या? एनेलिडा, आर्थ्रोपोडा, मोलस्का, इकाइनोडर्माटा, हेमिकॉर्डाटा, कॉर्डेटा. बट एक चीज़ है कि इसके अंदर इकाइनोडर्माटा के अंदर कुछ एक्सेप्शन है. इकाइनोडर्माटा एग्जिबिट रेडियल और बाइलेट्रियल सिमेट्री डिपेंडिंग ऑन द स्टेज. मतलब जो इकाइनोडर्माटा है तो वो क्या है? अपने स्टेज, यानी लार्वाल स्टेज जो होता है और एक एडल्ट स्टेज होता है. तो इकाइनोडर्माटा जो जब उसका लार्वाल स्टेज में होता है वो रेडियल सिमेट्री शो करता है, और जो तुम्हारा जो एडल्ट स्टेज में होता है वो बाइलेट्रियल सिमेट्री शो करता है. इकाइनोडर्माटा के अंदर जो एडल्ट है, एडल्ट इकाइनोडर्माटा वो है रेडियल सिमेट्री दिखाता है. बट जो लार्वा इकाइनोडर्माटा है, जो लार्वा में रहेगा, लार्वा के फॉर्म में रहेगा, उस वक्त बाइलेट्रली सिमेट्रिकली दिखाएगा. तो अब चलते हैं फाइलम पोरीफेरा. मेंबर ऑफ दिस फाइलम आर कॉमनली नॉन एज स्पॉन्जेस. दे आर जनरली मैराइन एंड मोस्टली एसिमेट्रिकल एनिमल्स. These are primitive multicellular animals and have cellular level of organization. Sponges have a water transport or canal system. Water enters through minute porosity in the body wall into a central cavity spongocoel from where it goes out through the osculum. This pathway of water transport is helpful in food gathering, respiratory exchange and removal of waste. Choanocyte or collar cell line the spongocoel and the canal. Digestion is intracellular. The body is supported by a skeleton made up of spicule or spongin fiber. Sexes are not separate, hermaphrodite. Eggs and sperm are produced by the same individual. Sponges reproduce asexually by fragmentation and sexually by formation of gamete. Fertilization is internal and development is indirect, having a larval stage which is morphologically distinct from the adult. Example of porifera: साइकन, यूस्पोंजिया, स्पॉन्जिल्ला. साइकॉन को कहा जाता है स्काइफा, स्पॉन्जिल्ला फ्रेश वाटर स्पॉन्ज, यूस्पोंजिया बाथ स्पॉन्ज, यूस्पोंजिया बाथ स्पॉन्ज. फाइलम सिलेंट्रेटा निडेरिया. They are aquatic, mostly marine, sessile or free swimming, radially symmetrical animal. The name nidaria is derived from the nidoblast or nidocyte, which contain the stinging capsule or nematocyte present on the tentacle and the body. Nidoblasts are used for anchorage, defense, and for the capture of the prey. Cnidarian exhibit tissue level of organization and are diploblastic. They have a central gastrovascular cavity with a single opening mouth on hypostome. Digestion is extracellular and intracellular. Some of the Cnidarian coral have a skeleton composed of calcium carbonate. Cnidarian exhibit two basic body forms called polyp medusa. The former is a sessile and cylindrical form like Hydra, Adamsia, whereas the latter is umbrella shape and free swimming like Aurelia or jellyfish. Those Cnidaria which exist in both form exhibit alternation of generation metagenesis. Polyp produce medusa asexually and medusa produce polyp sexually, obelia. Polyp produce medusa asexually and medusa form the polyps asexually, obelia. Example: Physalia portuguesis man of or, Adamsia C. animo, Pennatula C. pen, Gorgonia C. fan, Mendrina brain coral. Phylum Ctenophora. Ctenophore, commonly known as sea walnuts or comb jellies, are exclusively marine, radially symmetrical, diploblastic organism with tissue level of organization. The body bear 8 external row of ciliated complete which help in locomotion. Digestion is both extracellular and intracellular. Bioluminescence, the property of living organism to emit light as well, is well marked in Ctenophore. Sexes are not separate. Reproduction takes place only by sexual means. Fertilization is external with indirect development. Pleurobrachia and Ctenoplana. Pleurobrachia, Ctenoplana, Ctenophora का एग्जाम्पल है. Phylum Platyhelminthes. They have dorsoventrally flattened body, hence are called flatum. These are mostly endoparasite found in animal including human being. Flatum are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic and acoelomate animal with organ level of organization. Hooks and sucker are present in the parasitic form. Some of them absorb nutrient from the host directly through their body surface. A specialized cell called phlegm cell help in osmoregulation and excretion. Sexes are not separate. Fertilization is internal and development is through many larval stages. Some member like Planaria possess high regeneration capacity. Taenia, tapeworm, fascia, liver floc. Example of Platyhelminthes: tapeworm, liver floc. The body of the Aschelminthes is circular in cross section, hence the name roundworm. They may be free living, aquatic and terrestrial, or parasitic in plant and animals. Roundworm have organ system level of body organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic and pseudocoelomate animals. Alimentary canal is complete with a well-developed muscular pharynx and excretory tube. Remove body waste from the body cavity through the excretory pore. Sexes are separate, dioecious. Males and females are distinct. Often female are longer than male. Fertilization is internal and development may be direct. Young one resemble the adult or indirect. Example: Ascaris roundum, Ucraria filarialum, Encyclostoma hookworm. Ascaris roundum, Ucraria filarialum, Ascaris roundum, Ucraria filarialum, Encyclostoma hookworm. Phylum Annelida. They may be aquatic, marine, and freshwater, or terrestrial, free living, and sometimes parasitic. They exhibit organ system level of body organization and bilaterally symmetry. They are triploblastic, metamerically segmented, and coelomate animal. Their body surface is distinctly marked out into segment or metamers, and hence the phylum name Annelida, Latin annulus, little ring. They possess longitudinal and circular muscles which help in locomotion. Aquatic annelid like Nereis possess lateral appendages, parapodia which help in swimming. A closed circulatory system is present. Nephridia, singular nephridium, help in osmoregulation and excretion. Neural system consists of pair ganglia, singular ganglion, connected by lateral nerves to a double ventral nerve cord. Nereis, an aquatic form, is dioecious, but earthworm and leeches are monoecious. Reproduction is sexual. Nereis ferituma, earthworm, and Hydrodinaria, blood-sucking leech. Phylum Arthropoda. This is the largest phylum of Animalia, which include insect. Over 2/3 of all named species on Earth are arthropods. They have organ system level of organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical, diploblastic, segmented, and coelomate animal. The body of arthropod is covered by chitinous exoskeleton. The body consists of head, thorax, abdomen. They have jointed appendages, arthojoint pod appendages. Respiratory organ are gills, book lungs, or tracheal system. Circulatory system is of open type. Sensory organ like antennae, eyes, compound, and simple. Statocyst or balancing organ are present. Excretion take place through Malpighian tubules. They are placed through Malpighian tubules. They are mostly dioecious. Fertilization usually internal. They are mostly oviparous. Development may be direct or indirect. Economically important insect: apis, honeybee, bombyx, silkworm, lacifer, lac insect. Vector: Anopheles, culex, Aedes mosquitoes. Gregarious pest: Locusta, locust. Living fossil: Limulus. Phylum Mollusca. This is the second largest animal phylum. Mollusca, terrestrial or aquatic, marine or freshwater, having an organ system level of organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, and coelomate animal. Body is covered by a calcareous shell and it is unsegmented with a distinct head, muscular foot, and visceral hump. A soft and spongy layer of skin form a mantle over the visceral hump. The space between the hump and the mantle is called the mantle cavity, in which feather-like gills are present. They have a respiratory and excretory function. The anterior head region has sensory tentacle. The mouth contains a file-like rasping organ for feeding called radula. They are usually dioecious and oviparous with indirect development. Pila, Apellisnell, Pinctada, pearl oyster, Sepia, cuttlefish, Loligo, squid, octopus, devilfish, Aplysia, seahead, Dentalium, taskself, Catopelura, chiton. Phylum Echinodermata. These animals have an endoskeleton of calcareous ossicle and hence the name Echinodermata. Spiny body. All are marine with organ system level of organization. The adult Echinodermata are radially symmetrical but larvae are bilaterally symmetrical. The adult Echinodermata are radially symmetrical but larvae are bilaterally symmetrical. They are triploblastic and coelomate animal. Digestive system is complete with mouth on the lower ventral side. And anus the upper dorsal side. The most distinctive feature of Echinodermata is the presence of water vascular system which help in locomotion, capture and transport of food and respiration. An excretory system is absent. Sexes are separate. Reproduction is sexual. Fertilization usually external. Development is indirect with a free swimming larva. Example: Asteria, starfish, Echinus, sea urchin, Antedon, sea lily, Cucumaria, sea cucumber of Europe, brittle star. Phylum Hemichordata. Hemichordata was earlier considered as subphylum under phylum Chordata, but now it is placed as a separate phylum under non-chordate. Hemichordata have a rudimentary structure in the collar region called somatochord. Structure similar to notochord. The phylum consists of a small group of worm-like marine animal with organ system level of organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical, diploblastic and coelomate animal. The body is cylindrical and it is composed of an proboscis collared trunk. Circulatory system is of open type. Respiration takes place through gills. Excretory organ is proboscis gland. Sexes are separate. Fertilization is external. Development is indirect. Blanoglossus, Saccoglossus. Phylum Chordata. Animal belonging to phylum Chordata are fundamentally characterized by the presence of a notochord, a dorsal hollow nerve cord, parapharyngeal gill slit. These are bilaterally symmetrical diploblastic coelomate with organ system level of organization. They possess a post-anal 10 closed circulatory system. Table 4.1 represent a comparison of silent feature of chordate and non-chordate. Chordate कॉर्डेट यहाँ पर क्या है, टू डिफरेंस है. कॉर्डेट एंड नॉन कॉर्डेट के अंदर टू डिफरेंस बताया गया है. तो देखिए कॉर्डेट के अंदर क्या है, नोटोकॉर्ड प्रेजेंट. जो भी कॉर्डेट होता है ना उसके पास नोटोकॉर्ड प्रेजेंट होता है. सेकेंड पॉइंट है सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम इज डॉर्सल. जो सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम CNS जो प्रेजेंट होगा वो डॉर्सल की तरफ होगा, हॉलो होगा, सिंगल होगा. किसके अंदर, कॉर्डेट के अंदर. सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम इज डॉर्सल, हॉलो एंड सिंगल. फेरिंग परफोरेटेड बाय गिल स्लिट. जो कॉर्डेट होगा उसके अंदर फेरिंग जो है ना परफोरेटेड होगा बाय गिल स्लिट. हार्ट इज वेंट्रल, मतलब कॉर्डेट के अंदर जो हार्ट होगा वो वेंट्रल में होगा. जैसे ह्यूमन बीइंग है, कॉर्डेट है हम लोग, तो हमारे अंदर हार्ट किधर है, वेंट्रल है, मतलब सामने की तरफ. ये पोस्ट एनल टेल इज प्रेजेंट. ये पोस्ट एनल पार्ट टेल इज प्रेजेंट, मतलब जो पोस्ट एनल पार्ट जो है ना, पोस्ट एनल पार्ट जो है ना, टेल कहाँ पर होगा, पोस्ट एनल पार्ट प्रेजेंट होगा कॉर्डेट के अंदर. नॉन कॉर्डेट के अंदर क्या, नोटोकॉर्ड एब्सेंट, मतलब नोटोकॉर्ड नहीं होगा. सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम इज वेंट्रल, मतलब देखिए कि तुम्हारा जो ह्यूमन बीइंग के अंदर सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम कहाँ था, सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम डॉर्सल की तरफ था. बट नॉन कॉर्डेट के अंदर सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम कहाँ पर होगा, वेंट्रल की तरफ होगा, सॉलिड होगा और डबल होगा. ठीक है, सॉलिड डबल. बट तुम्हारा तो कॉर्डेट के अंदर कैसे था, हॉलो था और सिंगल था, बट यहाँ पर डबल. गिल स्लिट एब्सेंट होगा. कॉर्डेट के अंदर गिल स्लिट होगा बट यहाँ पर क्या होगा, नॉन कॉर्डेट के अंदर गिल स्लिट नहीं होगा. हार्ट इज डॉर्सल. जो हार्ट होगा ना, जो हार्ट होगा हमारे कॉर्डेट के अंदर वेंट्रल में होगा, बट नॉन कॉर्डेट के अंदर अगर हार्ट प्रेजेंट हो तो वो कहाँ पर होगा, डॉर्सल की तरफ हो. इफ प्रेजेंट, पोस्ट एनल टेल जो है ना नहीं होता है, नॉन कॉर्डेट के अंदर एब्सेंट होगा. फाइलम कॉर्डेटा इज डिवाइडेड इनटू 3 सब फाइलम, यूरोकॉर्डेटा, ट्यूनिकाटा, cephalochordata and vertebrata. Subphyla Urochordata and cephalochordata are often referred to as protochordate, and subphylum Urochordata and cephalochordata often referred to as protochordate and are exclusively marine. In Urochordata, notochord is present only in larval tail, or in cephalochordata it extends from head to tail region and it is persistent throughout their life. Urochordata acidia sulfa doliolum, cephalochordata branchiostomata, amphioxus lanceolate. The member of subphylum vertebrata possess notochord during the embryonic period. The notochord is replaced by cartilaginous or bony vertebral column in the adult. Thus all vertebrate are chordate but all chordate are non-vertebrate. जितने भी vertebrate हैं सारे chordate हैं but all chordate are non-vertebrate. all vertebrate जितने भी vertebrate हैं सारे chordate हैं बट ऑल कॉर्डेट जो है ना वर्टिब्रेट नहीं है. बिसाइड द बेसिक कॉर्डेट कैरेक्टर, बट जितने भी कॉर्डेट है वो सारे के हैं वर्टिब्रेट नहीं है. ठीक है, वर्टिब्रेट हैव ए वेंट्रल वेस्कुलर हार्ट विथ 2, 3, 4 चैम्बर, किडनीज फॉर एक्सक्रेशन एंड ऑस्मो रेगुलेशन एंड पेयर अपेंडेजेस व्हिच मे बी फिन और लिम्स. वर्टिब्रेटा का डिवीजन किया गया है. वर्टिब्रेटा का 2 पार्ट्स में डिवीजन किया गया है. एक क्या है, एगानाथा और एक गैनाथोस्टोमाटा. एगानाथा मतलब लैक जॉ, जिसके पास जॉ नहीं होगा ना उसको बोलते हैं एगानाथा, और जिसके पास जॉ होगा वो को बोलते हैं गैनाथोस्टोमाटा. तो एगानाथा के अंदर जिसके पास जॉ लैक जॉ नहीं होगा उसका अंदर एक क्लास आएगा, वो क्या है, साइक्लोस्टोमाटा. क्या है, एक क्लास है साइक्लोस्टोमाटा. और जिसके पास जॉ होगा उसको फिर सुपर क्लास में डिवाइड किया गया है, एक पाइसेस और एक टेट्रापोड. पाइसेस के अंदर जिसे फिन होगा जिसके पास, वो क्या है, कॉन्डियोक्थाइस, ऑस्टियोक्थाइस. कॉन्डियोक्थाइस का मतलब है कार्टिलेजिनस फिशेस, ऑस्टियोक्थाइस का मतलब बोनी फिशेस. तो 2 टाइप के फिशेस होता है. और टेट्रापोड का मतलब है बियर लिम, जिसके पास लिम्स है जैसे हम लोग है. तो लिम्स के अंदर जो है ना, टेट्रापोड के अंदर जिसका लिम्स है उसका क्लास को डिवाइड किया गया एम्फीबियन, रेप्टाइल, एब्स, मैमल. एम्फीबियन, रेप्टाइल, एब्स, मैमल जिसके पास टेट्रापोड होगा. और फिन क्या होगा, कॉन्डियोक्थाइस, ऑस्टियोक्थाइस मतलब कार्टिलेजिनियस फिश और बोनी फिश. क्लास Cyclostomata. All living member of the class Cyclostomata are ectoparasite on some fishes. They have an elongated body bearing 6 to 15 pair of gill slit for respiration. Cyclostome have a sucking and circular mouth without jaw. Their body is devoid of scale and pair fin. Cranium and vertebral column are cartilaginous. Circulation is of closed type. Cyclostome are marine but migrate for spawning to freshwater. After spawning within a few days they die. Their larvae after metamorphosis return to the ocean. Petromyzon, lamprey, magazine, hagfish. Class Condiocthyes जो है ना कार्टिलेजिनस फिश है. दे आर मैराइन एनिमल विथ स्ट्रीमलाइन बॉडी एंड हैव कार्टिलेजिनियस इंडोस्केलेटन. माउथ इज लोकेटेड वेंट्रली. नोटोकॉट इज persistent throughout life. Gill slit are separate and without operculum. Gills cover. The skin is tough, containing minute palacoid scale. Teeth are modified palacoid scale which are backwardly directed. Their jaw are very powerful. These animals are predaceous. Due to the absence of air bladder, they have to swim constantly to avoid sinking. Heart is two chamber on auricle and on ventricle. Some of them have electrical organ torpedo and some of possess poison sting trigon. They are cold-blooded poikilothermous animal. They lack the capacity to regulate their body temperature. Sexes are separate. In male pelvic fin bears clasper. They have internal fertilization and many of them are viviparous. Scoliodon, dogfish, priestis, sawfish, carcharodon, great white shark, trigon, stingray. Class Osteochthyes. It include both marine and freshwater. Class Osteochthyes. Bony fishes. It include both marine and freshwater fishes with bony endoskeleton. Their body is streamlined. Mouth is mostly terminal. They have 4 pair of gill which are covered by operculum on each side. Skin is covered with cycloid tenoid scale. Air bladder is present which regulate buoyancy. Heart is two chamber on auricle and on ventricle. They are cold-blooded animals. Sexes are separate. Fertilization is usually external. They are mostly oviparous and development is direct. Marine exocetus, flying fish, hippocampus, seahorse, freshwater labio, rohu, katla, calarius, magur, aquarium, betta, fighting fish, pterophyllum, angelfish. Class Amphibia. As the name indicate, dual bios life. Amphibians can live in aquatic as well as terrestrial habitat. Most of them have 2 pair of limbs, body divisible into head and trunk. Tail may be present in some. The amphibian skin is moist without scale. The eye have eyelid. Tympanum represent the ear. Alimentary canal, urinary and reproductive tract open into a common chamber called cloaca which open to the exterior. Respiration is by lungs, gills and through skin. The heart is 3 chamber, 2 auricle on ventricle. These are cold-blooded animal. Sexes are separate. Fertilization is external. They are oviparous and development is indirect. Example. Amphibia का एग्जाम्पल क्या है? बूफो, टोड, राना, फ्रॉग, हाइला, ट्री फ्रॉग, सलामंदर, इस्थियोफिश, लिमलेस एम्फीबियन. क्लास रेप्टिलिया. The class name refer to their creeping or crawling mode of locomotion. Latin repair or raptum, to creep or crawl. They are mostly terrestrial animal and their body is covered by dry and classified skin, epidermal, scale or scute. They do not have external ear opening. Tympanum represent ear. Limb when present are 2 pair. Heart is usually 3 chamber but 4 chamber in crocodile. Reptile are poikilotherma. Snakes and lizard shed their scale as skin cast. Sexes are separate. Fertilization is internal. They are oviparous and development is direct. Calon, turtle, testuda, tortoise, camelon, tree lizard, calotes, garden lizard, crocodilus, crocodile, alligator, hemidactyl, wall lizard, poisonous snake, naza, जो cobra, bangaras, crate, viper. Class apes. The characteristic feature of apes birds are the presence of feature and most of them can fly except flightless bird ostrich. They possess beak. The forelimb are modified into wings. The hind limbs generally have scale and are modified for walking, swimming, clasping the tree branches. Skin is dry without gland except oil gland at the base of the tail. Endoskeleton is fully ossified bony and the long bones are hollow with air cavities, pneumatic. The digestive tract of bird has additional chamber, the crop and gizzard. Heart is completely 4 chamber. They are warm-blooded homothermous animal. They are able to maintain a constant body temperature. Respiration is by lungs, air sac connected to lungs supplement respiration. Sexes are separate. Fertilization is internal. They are oviparous and development is direct. Corvus crow, Columba pigeon, Psittacula parrot, Strothio ostrich, Pavo peacock, Aptenodyte penguin, Neophron vulture. Class Mammalia. They are found in variety of habitat: polar ice cap, desert, mountain, forest, grassland, and dark caves. Some of them have been adapted to fly or live in water. The most unique mammalian characteristic is the presence of milk-producing gland, mammary gland, by which young are nourished. They have two pair of limbs adapted for walking, running, climbing, burrowing, swimming, and flying. The skin of mammal is unique in possessing hair. External ear or pinna are present. Different type of teeth are present in the jaw. Heart is four chamber. They are homothermous. Respiration is by lungs. Sexes are separate and fertilization is internal. They are viviparous with few exceptions and development is direct. Oviparous Ornithohencus platypus, viviparous Macropus kangaroo, Pteropus flying fox, Camelus camel, Macaca monkey, Rattus rat, Canis dog, Felis cat, Elephas elephant, Echos horse, Dolphinus common dolphin, Blyoneptera blue whale, Panthera tigris tiger, Panthera liu lion. तो इसी तरीके से एनिमल किंगडम भी ख़त्म हो गया. अभी हम शुरू करेंगे स्ट्रक्चरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन प्लांट और एनिमल्स. उसके अंदर स्ट्रक्चरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन प्लांट और एनिमल्स के अंदर हम सबसे पहले शुरू करेंगे मॉर्फोलॉजी ऑफ फ्लावरिंग प्लांट पढ़ेंगे आज. ओके, तो 1 मिनट आप रेस्ट कर लो, 1 मिनट सिर्फ. लास्ट चैप्टर अभी बचा है, चैप्टर 5. डे 1 टारगेट का लास्ट चैप्टर है, चैप्टर 5 मॉर्फोलॉजी ऑफ फ्लावरिंग प्लांट. The wide range in the structure of higher plant will never fail to fascinate us. Even though the angiosperm shows such a large diversity in external structure morphology, they are all characterized by presence of root, stem, leaves, flower and fruit. In chapter 2 and 3, we talk about classification of plant based on morphological and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classification and it understanding any higher plant, or for that matter any living organism, we need to know standard technical term and standard definition. We also need to know about the possible variation in different part found in adaptation of the plant to their environment, adaptation to various habitat for protection, climbing, storage, etc. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have root, stem and leaves. They may be bearing flower and fruit. The underground part of the flowering plant is the root system, while the portion above the ground form the shoot system. ये जो चैप्टर 5 मॉर्फोलॉजी ऑफ फ्लावरिंग प्लांट अभी जो मैं रीडिंग कर रहा हूँ अकॉर्डिंग टू न्यू एनसीईआरटी, ठीक है, न्यू एनसीईआरटी के अकॉर्डिंग रीडिंग कर रहा हूँ. तो कुछ ऐसे सेक्शन होगा जो ओल्ड एनसीईआरटी के अंदर होगा, वो चीज़ हम नहीं पढ़ेंगे. जो न्यू में है, न्यू एनसीईआरटी के अंदर है, वही चीज़ हम पढ़ेंगे. इन मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द डाइकोटिलेडन प्लांट द डायरेक्ट इलोंगेशन ऑफ द रेडिकल लेड टू द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ प्राइमरी रूट which grow inside the soil. It bear lateral root of several order that are referred to as secondary, tertiary, etc. roots. The primary root and its branches constitute the taproot system as is seen in the master plant. In monocotyledon plant, the primary root is short-lived and it is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system as seen in the wheat. In some plant like grass, monstera and the banyan tree, root arise from parts of the plant other than the radicle and are called adventitious roots. The main function of the root system are absorption of water and mineral from the soil, providing a proper anchorage to the plant parts, storing reserve food material and synthesis of plant growth regulator. Region of the root. The root is covered at the apex by a thimble-like structure called the root cap. It protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap is the region of meristematic activity. The cell of the region are very small, thin wall and with a dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. The cell proximal to this region undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the routine length. The region is called the region of elongation. The cell of the elongation zone gradually differentiate and mature. Hence, this zone proximal to region of elongation is called the region of maturation. From this region, some of the epidermal cell from very fine and delicate thread-like structure called root hair. This root hair absorb water mineral from the soil. The stem. What are the features that distinguish stem from the root? The stem is the ascending part of the axis bearing branches, leaves, flower and fruit. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seed. The stem bears nodes and internode. The region of the stem where leaves are born are called nodes, while internodes are the portion between two nodes. The stem bears buds which may be terminal or axillary. Stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and dark brown. The main function of the stem is spreading out branches bearing leaves, flower and fruit. It conducts water, mineral and photosynthesis. Some stem perform the function of storage of food, support protection and of vegetative propagation. The leaf. Leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure born on the stem. It develops at the node and bear a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develop into a branch. Leaves originate from shoot apical meristem and are arranged in an acropetal order. They are the most important vegetative organ for photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of the three main parts: leaf base, petiole and lamina. The leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structure called stipule. In monocotyledon, the leaf base expands into a sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In some leguminous plant, the leaf base may become swollen, which is called the pulvinous. The petiole help hold to the blade to light, long, thin, flexible petioles allow leaf blade to flatter in wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to leaf surface. The lamina or the leaf base is the green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlet. There is usually a middle prominent vein which is known as the midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade and act as a channel of transport of water, mineral and food material. The shape, margin, apex, surface and context of incision of lamina varies in different leaves. Venation. The arrangement of veins and the veinlet in the lamina of leaf is termed as venation. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate. When the veins run parallel to each other within a lamina, the venation is termed as parallel venation. Leaves of dicotyledon plant generally possess reticulate venation, while parallel venation is the characteristic of most monocotyledon plant. Type of leaves. A leaf is said to be simple when its lamina is entire or when incised. The incision do not touch the midrib. When the incision of the lamina reach up to the midrib, breaking it into a number of leaflets, the leaf is called compound. A bud is present in the axil of petiole in both simple and compound leaves, but not in the axil of leaflet of the compound leaf. The compound leaves may be of two types. In a pinnately compound leaf, a number of leaflets are present in a common axis, the rachis, which represent the midrib of the leaf as in neem. In palmately compound leaves, the leaflets are attached to a common point at the tip of petiole, as in silk cotton. Phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is the pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or branch. This is usually of three types: alternate, opposite and odd. In alternate type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node in alternate manner, as in China rose, mustard and sunflower plant. In opposite type, a pair of leaves arise at each node and lie opposite to each other, as in calotropis and guava plant. If more than two leaves arise at a node and form a whole, it is called whole, as in Alistonia. The inflorescence. A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristeme changes to floral meristeme. Internode do not elongate and the edges get condensed. The apex produce different kind of floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transfer into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of flower on the floral edges is termed as inflorescence. Depending on whether the apex get develop into a flower or continues to grow, two major type of inflorescence are defined: racemose and cymose. In racemose type of inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow. The flower are borne laterally in an acrophytal succession. In cymose type of inflorescence, the main axis terminate in a flower, hence is limited in growth. The flower are borne in basipetal order. The flower is the reproductive unit in the angiosperm. It is meant for sexual reproduction. A typical flower has four different kind of whorls arranged successively on the soilen end of the stalk or pedicle called thalamus or receptacle. These are calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are accessory organ, while androecium and gynoecium reproductive organ. In some flower like lily, the calyx and corolla are do not distinct and termed as perianth. When a flower has both androecium and gynoecium, it is bisexual. A flower having either only stamen or carpel is unisexual. In a symmetry, the flower may be actinomorphic radial symmetry, or zygomorphic bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into two equal radial in any radial plane passing through the center, it is said to be actinomorphic. Master Dhatura chilli. When it can be divided into two similar half only in one particular vertical plane, it is zygomorphic. P. Golmahar bean cassia. A flower is asymmetric, irregular, if it cannot be divided into two similar half by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in quina. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous, pentamerous when the floral appendages are in multiple 3, 4, 5 respectively. Flower with bracts reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicle are called bractate, and those without bract ebractate. Based on the position of calyx, corolla, androecium in respect of the ovary and thalamus, the flower are described as hypogynous, perigynous, epigynous. In the hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such flower is said to be superior. Mustard, China rose and brinjal. If gynoecium is situated in the center and the part of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus almost the same level, it is called perigynous. The ovary hair is said to be half inferior. Plum, rose, peach. In epigynous flower, the margin of thalamus grow upward, enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other part of the flower arise above the ovary, hence the ovary is said to be inferior, as in flower of guava and cucumber and ray floret of sunflower. Parts of flower. Each flower normally has four floral whorls: calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. The calyx is the outermost whole of the flower and the member are called sepal. Generally, sepal are green, leaf-like, protect the flower in bud stage. The calyx may be gamosepalous, sepal united, polysepalous, sepal free. Corolla is composed of petal. Petal are usually brightly colored to attract insect for pollination like calyx. Corolla may also be gamopetalous, petal united, or polypetalous, petal free. The shape and color of corolla vary greatly in plants. Corolla may be tubular, bell shape, funnel shape, or wheel shaped. Estivation, the mode of arrangement of sepal or petal in floral bud with respect to the other member of the same whole is known as the estivation. The main type of estivation are valvate, twisted, imbricate, and maxillary. When sepal or petal are in a whole just touch and one another at the margin without overlapping, as in calotropis, it is said to be valvate. If one margin of the appendage overlap that of the next one, and it is China rose, ladyfinger, cotton. China rose, ladyfinger, cotton, it is called twisted. If the margin of sepal or petal overlapping one another but none in any particular direction, cassia golmohar. The estivation is called imbricate. In pea and bean flower, there are 5 petals. The largest is standard overlap with two lateral petal wings. Largest standard overlap the two lateral petal wings, which in turn overlap to smallest anterior petal keel. Standard विंग किल, स्टैंडर्ड सबसे बड़ा जो है, इसके बाद जो है ना दो है थोड़ा मीडियम, उसको हम क्या बोलेंगे विंग्स, इसके बाद किल. दिस टाइप ऑफ एस्टिवेशन इज नॉन एज वैक्सिलरी और पैप्लियोनेसिए. एंड्रोसियम. Androcium is composed of stamen. Each stamen, which represent the male reproductive organ, consists of a stalk or a filament and an anther. Each anther is usually bilobe and each lobe has two chambers. The pollen sac, the pollen grain are produced pollen sac. A sterile stamen is called staminode. Stamen of flower may be united with other member such as petal or among themselves. When stamen are attached to the petal, they are epipetalous, ब्रिंजल. एपीफाइलस व्हेन अटैच टू द पेरियंथ. स्टैमेन जब पेटल के साथ अटैच अगर हुआ तो एपीपेटलस. स्टैमेन अगर पेरियंथ के साथ अटैच हुआ तो एपीफाइलस. एज इन द फ्लावर ऑफ लिली. द स्टैमेन इन ए फ्लावर may either remain free polyandrous or may be united in varying degree. Stamen may be united into one bunch or one bundle monoidal first as in China rose, two bundle diidal first as in pea, or into more than two bundle polyidal first as in citrus. There may be a variation in the length of filament within a flower as in salvia and mustard. Gynoecium. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower and it is made up of one or more carpel. A carpel consists of three parts, namely stigma, style, ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part on which lies on the long elongated tube. The style connect the ovary to the stigma. The style connect to the ovary to the stigma. The stigma is usually at the tip of the style and it is the receptive surface for pollen grain. Each ovary bear one or more ovule attached to the flattened cushion-like placenta. When more than one carpel is present, they may be free as in lotus and rose called apocarpus. They are termed syncarpus when carpel are fused as in mustard and tomato. After fertilization, the ovules develop into seed and ovary develop into fruit. Placentation. The arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. The placentation are of different type, mainly marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central, pericentral. In marginal placentation, the placenta form a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary and the ovules are born on this ridge, forming two rows as in P. When the placenta is axial and the ovule are attached to it in multilocular ovary, the placenta said to be axial as in China rose, tomato, lemon. In parietal placentation, the ovule develop on the inner wall of the ovary or in peripheral part. Ovary is one chamber but become two chamber due to the formation of false septum, master and argemone. Master and argemone. When the ovules are born on central axis and septa are absent as in dianthus and primrose, DP से इसको याद रख सकते हैं. Dianthus and primrose, the placenta is called free central. Free central का एग्जाम्पल क्या है, DP, dianthus, primrose. In basal placentation, the placenta develop at the base of the ovary and a single ovule is attached to it as in sunflower, marigold. The fruit is a characteristic feature of the flowering plant. It is mature or ripen ovary develop after fertilization. If a fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary, it is called parthenocarpic fruit. Generally, the fruit consists of a wall or pericarp and seed. The pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When pericarp is thick and fleshy, it is differentiated into the outer epicarp, middle mesocarp, the inner endocarp. The mango and coconut, the fruit is known as drupe. They develop from monocarpellary superior ovary and are one-seeded. In mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into outer thin epicarp, a middle fleshy edible mesocarp and inner stony hard endocarp. In coconut, which is also a drupe, the mesocarp is fibrous. The seed, the ovules after fertilization develop into seed. A seed is made up of a seed coat and an embryo. The embryo is made up of a radicle and embryonal axis and one as in wheat, maize or two cotyledon as in gram and pea. Structure of a dicotyledonous seed. The outermost covering of a seed is the seed coat. The seed coat has two layers, the outer testa, the inner tegma. The hilum is a scare on the seed coat through which the developing seed or attached to the fruit. Above the hilum is a small pore called the micropyle. Within the seed coat is the embryo consisting of an embryonal axis and two cotyledon. The cotyledon are often fleshy and full of reserved food material. At the two ends of the embryonal axis are present the radicle and the plumule. In some seed, such as castor, the endosperm formed as a result of double fertilization is a food storing tissue and called endospermic seed. In plants such as bean, gram, and pea, the endosperm is not present in mature seed, and such seed are called non-endospermous. Structure of monocotyledonous seed. Generally, monocotyledonous seed are endospermic, but some, as in orchid, are not endospermic. In the seed of cereals such as maize, the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is bulky and store food. The outer covering of endosperm separates the embryo by proteinous layer called aleurone layer. The embryo is small and situated in a groove at one end of the endosperm. It consists of one large and cell-shaped cotyledon known as scutellum and short axis with a plumule and a radicle. The plumule and radicle are enclosed in a sheath which are called coleoptile and coleorhiza respectively. Semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. Various morphological features are used to describe a flowering plant. The description has to be brief, simple and scientific language and presented in a proper sequence. The plant is described beginning with its habitat, vegetative character, root, stem, leaves and then floral character, inflorescence and floral part. After describing various parts of a plant, a floral diagram and floral formula are presented. The floral formula is represented by some symbol. In the floral formula, BR stand for bracted, K stand for calyx, C stand for corolla, P stand for perianth, A stand for androecium, G for gynoecium, G और उसके नीचे एक अंडरलाइन फॉर सुपीरियर ओवरी, G और उसके ऊपर एक अंडरलाइन उसको बोले इन्फीरियर ओवरी, और एक मेल का सिंबल, फिर फीमेल सिंबल, फिर बाइसेक्सुअल प्लस. अगर प्लस एक राउंड हो, एक तुम्हारा सर्कल और उसके अंदर प्लस हो तो उसको बोलेंगे एक्टिनोमॉर्फिक, और एक परसेंटेज का सिंबल हो तो जाइगोमॉर्फिक नेचर ऑफ फ्लावर. फ्यूजन इज इंडिकेटेड बाय इनक्लोजिंग द फिगर विद इन bracted and adhesive by line drawn above the symbol of the floral parts. A floral diagram provides information about the number of parts of flower, their arrangement and the relation they have with one another. A floral diagram provides information about the number of parts of a flower, their arrangement and the relation they have with one another. The position of the mother axis with respect to the flower is represented by a dot on the top of the floral diagram. Calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium are drawn in a successive order, calyx being the outermost and gynoecium being the center. Floral formula also show cohesion and adhesion within parts of whorls and between the whorls. The floral diagram and floral formula in figure 5.16 represent the master plant फैमिली ब्रासिकेसिए. तो फैमिली ब्रासिकेसिए का जो फ्लोरल डायग्राम है, ठीक है, वो 5.16 फिगर नंबर के अंदर रिप्रेजेंटेड है. आप एनसीईआरटी खोल के आप देख लीजिए फ्री टाइम में. अब हम एनसीईआरटी के अंदर, न्यू एनसीईआरटी के अंदर एक ही फैमिली के अंदर एक ही फैमिली के बारे में एक्सप्लेन किया गया. एक्चुअली वो जो अभी मैं पढ़ा हूँ फैमिली ब्रासिकेसिए बताया गया है, ठीक है, और एक अलग से डिटेल में फैमिली के बारे में बताया गया है, वो है सोलानेसिए. तो हम सोलानेसिए फैमिली के बारे में बात करते हैं अभी, ठीक है, पढ़ते हैं एनसीईआरटी रीडिंग. सोलानेसिए, इट इज़ ए लार्ज फैमिली commonly called as the potato family. It is widely distributed in tropics, subtropics, even temperate zone. Vegetative character, plants mostly herbs, shrubs and rarely small trees. स्टेम, वेजिटेटिव कैरेक्टर के अंदर सबसे पहले स्टेम कैसे होगा? हार्बिसियस, रेयरली वुडी, एरियल, इरेक्ट, सिलेंड्रिकल, ब्रांच, सॉलिड और हॉलो, हेरी और ग्लैबोरस, अंडरग्राउंड स्टेम इन पोटैटो, सोलैनम, ट्यूबरसम। लीव्स कैसे होगा? अल्टरनेट होगा, सिंपल होगा, रेयरली पिन्नेटली कंपाउंड होगा, एक्स स्टिपुलेट भी हो सकता, वेनेसेंट रेटिकुलेट होगा। फ्लोरल कैरेक्टर, फ्लोरल कैरेक्टर के अंदर इन्फ्लोरेसेंस सॉलिटरी होगा, एक्सिलरी और साइमोस एज इन सोलैनम। फ्लावर बाइसेक्सुअल और एक्टिनोमॉर्फिक होगा। कैलिक्स सेपल 5 होगा। सोलानेसी के अंदर जो सेपल है वो 5 होगा और वो यूनाइटेड होगा, मतलब मिल के रहेगा। परसिस्टेंट और वेलवेट एस्टिवेशन, मतलब सेपल का, कैलिक्स का, ठीक है, जो एस्टिवेशन होगा वो वेलवेट एस्टिवेशन। कोरोला जो है ना, मतलब पेटल, कोरोला भी 5, मतलब कैलिक्स भी 5, कोरोला मतलब पेटल भी 5, जो भी यूनाइटेड होगा वेलवेट एस्टिवेशन, मतलब कैलिक्स भी वेलवेट एस्टिवेशन, कोरोला भी वेलवेट एस्टिवेशन। एंड्रोसियम स्टेमेन 5, एपीपेटलस, गाइनोसियम बाइकार्पिलरी, ऑब्लिगेटेड प्लेस, सिनकार्पस, ओवरी सुपीरियर, बाइलोकुलर, प्लेसेंटा सोलेन विथ मैनी ओव्यूल एक्सिल। फ्रूट कैसे होगा? बेरी होगा और कैप्सूल होगा। सीड्स मैनी एंडोस्पर्मस, सीड कैसे होगा? मैनी बहुत सारे होगा और एंडोस्पर्मा होगा। तो फ्लोरल फॉर्मूला क्या है? सबसे पहले एक्टिनोमॉर्फिक, बाइसेक्सुअल, के मतलब जो कैलिक्स है, और ब्रैकेट मतलब जो कैलिक्स है वो फ्यूज होगा ना एक साथ, इसलिए ब्रैकेट देके 5 होगा। फिर कोरोला सी होगा जो ब्रैकेट से 5 होगा, और एंड्रोसियम 5 होगा बट वो फ्यूज नहीं होगा, मतलब ब्रैकेट नहीं होगा, ठीक है। और तुम्हारे यहाँ पर सुपीरियर ओवरी होगा, मतलब जी और उसके नीचे अंडरलाइन और फ्यूज ब्रैकेट देके 2 लिखना होगा, ठीक है। इकोनॉमिक इंपॉर्टेंस, सोलानेसी का इकोनॉमिक इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है? मैनी प्लांट बिलोंगिंग टू दिस फैमिली आर सोर्स ऑफ फूड, टोमेटो, ब्रिंजल, पोटैटो, स्पाइसी चिल्ली, मेडिसिन, बेल्लाडोना, अश्वगंधा, फ्यूमिगेटरी टोबैको, ऑर्नामेंटल पेटूनिया। तो देखिए कि अभी 5 चैप्टर NCERT के लाइन टू लाइन रीडिंग कंप्लीट हो गया, ये डे 1 में। फिर कल डे 2 का बताया जाएगा, जो वो भी 5 to 6 या 7 चैप्टर होगा एक साथ, वो भी 2-3 आवर्स के अंदर। आज का जो वीडियो जो 5 चैप्टर अभी मैं रीडिंग किया है वो ऑडियो में, अब ऑडियो में सुनिए, ठीक है। रात में जब सो जाओगे ना, सो जाओगे या रास्ते में रहोगे या ट्रैवलिंग करोगे तब सुनो आप सुकून में, या जब आपको रीडिंग करने का मन नहीं करेगा ना तब आप इस ऑडियो को सुनिए, हेडफोन लगा के सुनने की कोशिश कीजिए, आप इसको ऑब्जर्व करने की कोशिश कीजिए माइंड में, तो आपको याद रहेगा और आपको अच्छा फील होगा और आपको NCERT आप भूलोगे नहीं, ठीक है। तो अगर आप इसका मतलब चैप्टर वाइज अगर आप ऑडियो, अगर आप ये तो आप यूट्यूब में है, अगर आप चाहते हो सिर्फ ऑडियो सुनना, ठीक है, वो भी आपको डाउनलोड होके, ठीक है, डाउनलोड करके मिले कहीं आपको व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में या व्हाट्सएप चैनल में या ना तो टेलीग्राम चैनल में, तो आप क्या करिए, इस चैनल के आप व्हाट्सएप चैनल भी ज्वाइन कीजिए और आप इसके टेलीग्राम चैनल भी ज्वाइन कीजिए। टेलीग्राम के अंदर मैं इसके जो ऑडियो है सेम यही ऑडियो में टेलीग्राम में ऑडियो के फॉर्म में मैं ही रखूँगा अपलोड करके, तुम वहाँ से सुन सकते, ठीक है। तो अगर आप यूट्यूब से नहीं सुनना चाहते हो तो टेलीग्राम भी ज्वाइन कर सकते हो, वहाँ से भी आप ऑडियो सुन सकते, ठीक है। तो आई होप आपको अच्छी तरह ये जो अभी मैं 5 चैप्टर ऑडियो में अभी बनाया, आई होप आपके लिए बहुत ही हेल्पफुल होगा।